Hi, everybody. As always, this case has been about these two girls, Abby and Libby. And I've always said hoping to finally get justice. And it seems like Richard Allen, a group of 12 of his peers, decided that he was guilty of killing them. So some people think justice has been served, other people disagree, but we'll see what the next steps are. So, what are the next steps? On December 20th, Friday, is the sentencing of Richard Allen. Each count, 2 murder charges and 2 felony murder charges, carries a sentence of 45 minimum years to 65 maximum years in prison. But as far as I know, he will only be given one sentence per victim. So he'll either get a total of 90 years if Judge Gull says he deserves the minimum, or a total of 130 years if she says he deserves the maximum. So Gull will consider a pre-sentence report, listen to the victim impact statements of the families, give Richard Allen and his family the chance to speak for themselves, and will then reveal his sentence, and also ask if he wants to seek an appeal and if he wants an attorney appointed. Walden and Rosie, the defense attorneys, have made a record of filings indicating they expect an appeal that may be based on Judge Gull's gag order since the start of the trial. Also, her attempt to have them fired in October 2023, which that lasted about 3 months, that drama. Everybody trying to get everybody else fired. And her denial of motions deemed essential to the defense of their client. The jury's verdict is not appealable, but the things the defense asked to be able to do, but were not allowed to, like visit the crime scene, have the jury go to the crime scene, introduce Odenism, Ron Logan, Kagan Klein, and other potential suspects, and all the things they objected to the state doing, but the state was allowed to do. The appeal would try to show how the case was shaped by the evidence that was allowed in or the evidence that was not allowed in, to say the jury did not see the correct picture to come to a correct verdict. 2 more slides, and then I'll get to your comments. After the sentencing, there's 30 days to file a notice to appeal his conviction and his sentence. His appellate attorneys and the state, so the state will be represented by the Indiana Attorney General's office, will each file lengthy briefings laying out their arguments. And there will likely be a hearing before the Indiana Court of Appeals. Some people are saying this could take 1, 2, or even 5 years if Richard Allen agrees that he even wants to try an appeal. So possible outcomes. Number 1, the appeals court finds there were no errors at the trial court level. The trial court is considered Judge Gull. 2, it finds there were errors, but they were not significant enough to impact the outcome of the trial. In both cases, Rick's guilty conviction stands. He can then ask the Indiana Supreme Court to review the case. If the Indiana Supreme Court says it was the correct decision, does anybody know? Would he then be able to take it to the U.S. Supreme Court? A third possible outcome, the appeals court finds there were significant errors in the case that Allen's conviction should be reversed. If this happens, the case will be sent back to Judge Gull's court, and Carroll County prosecutor Nick McClelland will have to decide whether or not to try Rick again and ask Carroll County officials to spend more taxpayer dollars for a new trial. The first one cost over $4 million for Carroll County taxpayers, which is about $200 per person in Carroll County. Lastly, and apparently the least likely, a plea deal. If the case is sent back to Judge Gull's court, the parties can decide to negotiate a plea deal to avoid yet another costly and controversial trial. Final slide. I think the only major filing that's come out since the end of the trial was a few days ago, November 21st, a precipice for transcript filed by Nick McClelland of the prosecution. McClelland wants a copy of the testimony of Dr. Eric Warren from the trial, who testified for the defense about the accuracy of Indiana State Police analyst Melissa Oberg's report about the unspent round at the crime scene matching Richard Allen's gun. So we'll have to wait and see what's next. We're about 3 weeks away from the sentencing. So what do you guys want to talk about? Hello. So I said this is my final, hopefully, Delphi live chat. I think I've done 98 live chats in the past 2.5 years when I really didn't want to do any. So I'm working on a final Delphi video that's a summary of the entire case and also a summary of the entire trial and every witness, a summary of every witness, their testimony. It's been taking me so long. I'm working on it every day, all day. Hopefully in about a week, it'll be finished. I don't know that I'll never do another Delphi live chat. I'm not doing a live chat on the December 20th when there's the sentencing. I'll do a community post just to update you guys about what happened. I don't know, maybe in 6 months, if there's some updates that have happened with enough to talk about, I'll do another Delphi live chat, but it's going to be a while. So, looking at comments. Hi, Sub Rosa. Justice has been served. Sienna says, I think the jury got it right. Jennifer says, hello, good people. Hi, Wom Tepster. I'll miss you. Ah. Quizzical girl. Without parole, hopefully. Yeah, it seems either way, Rick is going to spend the rest of his life in prison as of now. I'm not sure that he's going to even appeal. I know some people say he has a good chance for an appeal. Some people say the Court of Appeals is going to say, no, the jury made the correct decision. And even if Judge Gull made errors, the jury was going to vote guilty. I don't know. I think maybe Rick tried this trial because he saw how horrible prison was. And he was being honest about being guilty. And he's like, let me just try and see if I can find a juror to think that I'm not guilty. And now that he's seen that 12 people said, yes, we think you're guilty, is he going to accept his fate? Is he going to talk at this December 20 sentencing hearing? What's he going to say? I'm not going to the hearing, as far as I know. No, seriously, I have no plans to go. And it's not going to be televised as of now. So that's that. Hi, TJ. Do you think if he comes clean about everything, they'll give him some sort of deal, like keeping him in a closer prison? Well, I just finished an hour and 40-minute member live chat, and some people are saying maybe he's going to be sent to another state because he cannot really hang out in an Indiana prison where they know like what he's been convicted of, murdering two kids. Hi, Junior Johnson. Junior Johnson thinks Rick is going to get the maximum amount from Judge Gull. Sub Rosa, I wish that Judge Gull could sentence Bald and Rosie too. Contempt of court. Yeah, she's not a fan of them, and they're obviously not a fan of hers. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with Judge Gull. And if the appeals court will say that she did make a mistake or more than one mistake, and what are the consequences going to be for Judge Gull if it's shown that she was not good at her job? Hi, Norwegian. The defense withdrew their motion for the jury to visit the crime scene. That's correct. And I didn't think that was a good idea because there were some people on the jury who were elderly. I don't know that they should really be walking in the woods. Nobody over 30 should be walking in the woods. Hi, Sunflower. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Junior says, hopefully he has a little bit of conscience left and apologizes to the family. He said multiple times he hopes he can apologize to the family. As I said, will he not appeal? And will he say, I'm sorry for what I did, and turn to the victim families and say, I am sorry for doing this? Is he still into religion like he was? He said he found religion March 21st, 2023, and that's why he started apparently confessing to everybody. Is he going to stand up there and say, I am guilty, and finally apologize to the families? I doubt it, but you never know. TJ, because I'd be sending him right back to that hole in Westville he hated so much for dragging everyone through this. I don't think it's up to Judge Gull. I think after he's sentenced, he goes to something called the RDC, Reception Diagnostic Center, which is a place in Indiana where I guess they evaluate somebody before they determine like what his mental needs are and other stuff to determine which prison in Indiana is the best for him to, I guess, spend the rest of his life. Hi, Mommy Wolverine. What unanswered questions do you still wonder? I mean, I've been wondering about this case seriously, like every day for almost 4 years since I became aware of it. As somebody said before, I would appreciate if Rick, I mean, I do think he is guilty. I would appreciate if he says how this all played out that afternoon. Um, I kind of wonder where he encountered Abby and Libby first. Was it on the trail before they got to the bridge? Did they get to the bridge and he was on platform one and he got off and so they can get on? Did he hide behind that old barricade? Or is my theory true that after Betsy Blair saw him on platform one, did he go to the south end to look to see if anybody was down there to know if he was going to kidnap anybody who showed up? Was it safe to even tell them to go down the hill? Hi, Scott. Yeah, will Richard Allen ever do like a TV interview? Scott says an interview with Richard Allen would be worth a fortune. He obviously loves his wife so much. If he's offered $100,000 to give to his wife, would he do a TV interview? And what is he going to say? I'm innocent or I'm guilty? Hey, y'all. Kelly, y'all. Hi, Carol. Hi, SC. Do you think the family will press charges for how horribly they were treated by the law tubers and others? I really don't watch that many other YouTube channels since I like summarize all the legal filings myself. And again, I just summarize what's in the legal filings. I'm not saying I know more than attorneys. I obviously don't. I don't know that they would sue them. I know there's one or two people online who have YouTube channels who have flat out blatantly accused Libby's family of being involved in organizing their murders and executing their murders. It remains to be seen. Hi, Purple Emeralds. No, well, maybe two more in 2025. I'll get to 100 Delphi live chats. Hi, Big Bird. Smoke that doobie. What do you think his sentence will be? I think he will get the full 130 years. Maybe because, so it seems like from what I've heard, and I might be wrong about this. So I said at the beginning, there's two charges for each girl, murder and also felony murder, which means like he's the one who said go down the hill, which is kidnapping that led to their murder. He can only be sentenced, I think, for like the bigger charge. So I guess the murder. So maybe because like the felony murder is and the kidnapping part of it is not in the sentence, she'll give him the maximum. And maybe because they're two children, she'll give him the maximum. Either way, he's going to end his life in prison. So I'm not sure that it even really matters. Norwegian. No, I currently have no plans to go to sentencing. Although I really miss the Delphi Dairy Queen and Pizza Hut. And there are certain like restaurants that I didn't get to go to, so I doubt I'll be there. Hi, Madison. I rescue all the dogs. Teddy, are you going back to Delphi for the sentencing? No, I would probably go there, and then like I hear people are lining up at noon the day before, and I'm like, I'm not doing another all-nighter outside the Delphi courthouse. ED, will there still be Tom live chats even if they will not focus on Delphi? Unfortunately, yes. On Thursday's Thanksgiving in America, so I'm going to do a live chat for my members only. Since I'll be alone, I'll be cooking some food. For anybody else who's alone, I thought I'd just do a Thanksgiving live chat where I'm preparing some crappy food. I'll post my recipes from my mom probably tomorrow, and I'll schedule that for my members. After that, I will be doing some other live chats. I haven't decided what, but like comedy, I'm going to be doing like stand-up comedy next year because I have hundreds of pages of jokes that I've kept to myself afraid to get up in front of like strangers. So hosting live chats has given me a little bit of confidence to actually do it. And I've been focusing on Delphi for almost 4 years. So I'm looking forward to like focusing on cooking with strangers. I have 19 episodes. I've only edited kind of the first one. So I'll be doing that over the next few weeks. And I'll do like comedy live chats where I do stand-up comedy practice before I go do it actually in a club. Stay tuned or tune out. Hi, Remy. Are you going to do another trial? We need your live streams. The only other cases I've really focused on are Missy Beavers, which that's unsolved after 8 years. I did read the like probable cause affidavits for Brian Koberger for the Indiana case, or sorry, the Idaho case of the 4 college students. I think he's guilty for that. So I haven't really paid attention to that. And also Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer, I think he's absolutely guilty. So not sure that I'm going to do any more trial coverage. Hi, Maureen. Thank you. Hi, KCL. Budapest hungry. I'm hungry too. Hi, Maria. I don't know about you guys, but from here, what the defense did is not simply illegal, but criminal even. What do you think? Like, can you state some facts? Hi, Shannon from Ireland. Yeah, it's nice. I really appreciate all you guys like following this case with me over the past 2+ years and joining my live chats and sharing your thoughts. Everybody from around the world, I truly appreciate all of you. My moderators, thank you. Although people complain you guys banned way too many people when I wasn't looking. Shannon, my first Cooking with Strangers was filmed in County Mayo, Ireland at 9:30 p.m. in my grandmother's hometown of Charlestown, County Mayo, Ireland. I found some guy to teach me how to make scones. So that's coming every weekend in 2025. Brian, zero evidence was kept out, only speculation and theory. Yeah, I just felt like the defense in a year of Frank's memos did not prove to me that any of the Odinists had planned a murder or had planned a ritual in the woods of Delphi at 2 p.m. on Monday, February 13th. Teddy says, I hope Rick actually speaks at sentencing, but he's a coward, so probably not. I don't know what he's going to do. Stay tuned. I guess Teddy's going to report live from the courtroom. Sienna, I hope you will continue to do lives about anything, honestly. This is the only chat that really has good people in it and good vibes. Thank you. Hi, Libby. Hope you're well. Hi, Annie, at work. Will Rick's wife accept that he is guilty? I can understand that his wife and his mom cannot understand how this man that they saw, I guess, was fairly docile and calm and not aggressive, could go out to this trail and murder these 2 girls. However, to me, his timelines do not add up. The noon to 1:30 timeline does not add up. His 1 to 3 timeline does not add up, and neither does his 1:30 to 3:30 timeline add up. So I guess it remains to be seen how his wife and mom will react going forward. I really want to know what these phone calls are like between his wife and his mom and him after the guilty verdict. Is he still saying, I'm guilty, or what? Hi, Blinker Fluid. Thank you for your appreciation. Hi, Sienna. Thank you for becoming a member. I'll see you maybe on Thanksgiving. Jerry Lynn, thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, my members are going to get early access to Cooking with Strangers, and you'll also get access to a Word document that has the recipe and also like the full like 2 to 3 hour videos if you have a lot of free time on your hands and you're bored. Hi makes me wonder. Rick might confess at some point, just like Chris Watts did while in prison. Well, I mean, Rick has confessed on the phone and in person to a lot of people. To Dr. Walla, he gave some general confession, not like step by step. I think a lot of us would like to know how this all played out. I am going, since this is the last Delphi live chat, I normally go an hour and 59 minutes. I just did an hour and 40-minute member chat. So as long as my iconic vocal cords can go, I'll go past 2 hours. In a little bit, I'm going to include a link for some people to join and ask questions online. I'm only bringing people on screen if I know your screen name and you're not a troll. So that should be interesting. Hi, Daisy. They won't. Richard Allen is toast. We'll see what happens on the 20th. Mommy Wolverine, Rick is infamous. No escape from his notoriety, even to be sent to another state's prison. But I guess there's certain areas in these other state prisons where, I mean, like some pretty horrible people get to spend their forever home. Hi, Mama Cat PI. Did you get enough money to cover most of your Delphi trip? I really appreciated it. So many people gave a variety of money, and I didn't cover it, but it put a big dent in it. So I truly appreciate everybody who donated for me to try and cut back on my costs for lodging and my car rental. Santa said Baldwin leaked the pics of Libby and Abby, maybe not intentionally, but he is at fault. They were on his conference room table, and Mitch Westerman took photos when Baldwin was in his office. I mean, I can understand, like, they didn't expect somebody to just randomly walk into his law office and find these photos that I guess they had on the table because they were doing depositions of police in August 2023. So they had certain crime scene photos on their conference room table. I don't know. Mitch Westerman never really got in trouble for that. He obviously got arrested, but he paid like $250 and it's resolved. ST says, I think Judge Gull is going to retire after the sentencing. I disagree. I think she's like, bring on more cases. Daisy said, if he's really saved by religion, he will apologize. He was bringing a Bible into the courtroom at least the last few days, and people said the Bible kept getting bigger every day towards the end. Thou shalt not lie. Moving along. Is that even the way you say it? I went to Catholic school through fourth grade. It's been a hot minute since I read the Bible. Juliana, horrible choice of words. Sorry. I just meant like I can't do it. I missed it, so don't worry. Libby, do you think he will appeal as he has said so many times he's guilty? I'm not sure that he's going to appeal. He may just accept the sentence. He said so many times that he's guilty, but apparently he also said many times he's innocent. We shall see. Hi, Luna Blue. When will Cooking with Strangers premiere? I'm doing two different versions. Like a public version will be like 10 to 20 minutes every Sunday in 2025. I have 19 episodes filmed. One is only edited. My members will get access to the full like 2 to 3 hour videos as soon as I'm finished editing them. And they'll get access to the 10 to 20-minute videos. Like the public one will be on Sundays, depending on which level, like $2.99, $4.99, or $9.99. They'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see what happens. There's some interesting experiences and interesting foods in these episodes. I hope you're well, Luna Blue. Sub Rosa, I don't think Judge Gull did anything wrong. It's just more rhetoric. I disagree. I mean, there's that whole 118 unsealed documents that Kevin Greenlee from the Murder Sheet did in like June 2023. And they were like, oh yeah, sorry, 118 of these documents should have been unsealed. That's a mistake. I think she maybe blamed the clerk, but still. I do think she has made a few other errors. I do not have a spreadsheet on it though. So we'll see what happens. Purple Amaryllis, has the judge told the jury not to speak out? It's unusual to not hear from any of them. She extended the gag order until the sentencing on the 20th. I believe that included the jury. A smart person on Reddit posted a note saying, if you were on the jury, run in the other direction. Do not speak out. Do not talk to anybody. Just move on. And I do think that was good advice. However, if somebody on the jury wants to talk to me, I'll talk to them. Aquarian 1, hi. Hi, Brian. I think he started to follow Betsy Blair. So or at least I wondered for a long time, Betsy Blair, just in the PCA, said she saw a man on platform 1, and then she turned around and saw Abby and Libby. At the trial, she revealed she saw the man. He was looking upstream, which would be like towards the crime scene area. So he's like on platform 1, looking over there. He turned to her. So he did see her turn around and leave. However, she said she was at the barricade. She said it was 50 feet away. I'm trying to see if I can do a photo real quick. Please stand by. Have you all seen the barricade? Let me just show the barricade real quick. So Betsy Blair said she stopped at this barricade. I had another photo where it showed like platform 1. She said it was 50 feet. I stood at, sorry. So the bridge starts like over here, and platform 1 is over here. In May of this year, I went to Delphi and I stood here and I had somebody stand at the platform 1, and I could not really make out their facial features. She said she stood here for a moment at the barricade. So it seems like she did not walk around. Whether he started to follow Betsy Blair is unbeknownst to me. Will he ever reveal exactly what happened that day? Possibly. I don't know if we talked about it in this chat or the member chat before this one. Rick seems to love his wife a lot, obviously. Her life has been thrown into shambles. I don't know what she's doing for a job. She sold their house for $250,000 like a year and a half ago. If he's offered some kind of TV deal for $100,000 or more for his wife to get that money, he obviously loves her. Will he give a TV interview? What's he going to say? I'm innocent or I'm guilty, and here's how it all played out. Stay tuned. KCL. I believe Tom said Judge Gull was fair to both sides, that she sustained objections by the defense, etc. So I believe Tom on that over, say, others who seem biased towards the defense. I don't know what the percentage was, but there were a fair number of objections by the prosecution that she overruled. So to me, it seemed like overall, she was not being biased against the defense in the courtroom. Even on the first day, she said, Richard Allen deserves a fair trial. And I've said many times, like Gull seemed most interested in the jury. The only time she smiled was in the morning when she saw the jury. It's like, it's so nice to see you this morning. I hope you had a pleasant evening. So she was really concerned that the jury could make a proper decision, although some people would say she wasn't concerned with that if she did not allow the defense to present their odinous theory or other evidence. If you were on a sequestered jury for 3 weeks, would you want another week of the defense presenting the odinous theory to you? In my opinion, which means nothing, the defense failed to convince me that Odinus did this and Richard Allen did not. So I think it would have been a waste of time for the jury and everybody else, even if the defense could have presented their Odinus theory, because Todd Click, it came from Todd Click and Murphy And both of them said we could not find anything that could place these Odinists at the crime scene. So, like, where's the proof that they were planning a ritual in the woods of Delphi for 2 p.m. on a Monday afternoon? Todd Click's theory was that Abby and Libby were walking in the woods, saw this ritual by Odinists, and started laughing, and the Odinists killed them because they were angry that they were laughed at. That was Todd Click's theory, as far as I heard. Is somebody on a jury going to believe that? The four girls, sorry, I ramble, but the four girls at the start of the trail saw one man matching bridge guy enter the trail from Freedom Bridge. 20 minutes later, Betsy Blair sees one man on platform 1. 20 minutes after that is the 213 video showing one man coming towards Abby and Libby. So where are these other Odinists? Fail. Anyway, Regina, hello. I don't think his wife, mother, and attorneys will ever let him plead guilty. Look at how many exes he already tried and they all shut, or how many times he already tried and they all shut him down. I mean, his wife did, he said on the phone call, said to his wife and mom, his wife did say, why are you saying that? After he said, I did it. She didn't say, why did you do it? I would like to hear her say, okay, let's go with this presumption that you are telling the truth, that you did kill these two kids, like you keep saying. Why did you do it? How did it all play out? Instead of just saying, no, I don't believe that you're capable of this, say, okay, I believe you. Please tell me why and how. The whole thing. And then his wife can actually make an informed decision, and his mom, instead of telling him to shut up because it's being recorded and might lead to him being found guilty, and he was just found guilty. So as I said, I'm interested to know what these phone calls are going, how they're going now that he's been found guilty. Makes me wonder, maybe Dodge Correctional Facility in Wisconsin will be selected as a destination, and Alan can be cellmates with Chris Watts. That's where Chris Watts is? Chris Watts murdered in Colorado, correct? And I guess because he's high profile, he got moved to Wisconsin. Hello, well, my. Isn't there a rule that you can't make money off of your crimes? I think it's state by state, but I might be wrong. However, if the money goes to his wife, if she also does an interview and is promised like $100,000 for an interview, but part of that is also Rick has to talk to the reporter. I believe his wife could make money. However, now that he's been found guilty, could the families of Abby and Libby sue the wife for that money, since he's been found guilty of like ruining and taking their lives? Luna Blue says jurors cannot talk until after the sentencing. All right, thank you. Hi, Jerry Lynn. Mommy Wolverine, I wish that Carroll County would sell the audio, kind of like a pay-per-view. It would pay for their court cost. I don't know what the next steps are once the sentencing happens, what the request for evidence is, how it's going to be like hosted on a website or what. I obviously want to get access to it. Jennifer Auger from the defense team once said there was 48,000 files that the defense was given. I have some recipes to make. I can't be looking at all that. Maybe one of you people can summarize for once and I can watch your live chat. Sienna, he can't make money talking about his crimes, though. I think there was a law passed after Son of Sam got a lot of money from book deals. But is that from, I think Son of Sam was New York? Or is that Massachusetts? All right, here we go. I'm putting a link here. It's to join, to ask, or to like discuss a topic on audio or video. Once you click the link for StreamYard, you have to close the current browser or it's going to have feedback for audio. You're going to have to show yourself on camera just to prove to me that you're not a troll. And I'm only going to allow people on who I know that your screen name is not a troll. So wish me luck. Ah. There we go. Once I hear a beep, I'm going to freak out that somebody's ringing the bell. All right, here we go. Hi, Dan Myers. Jury got this right. Thank you for joining, Dan. I think Dan went to school with Rick or Ricky. Sienna says Libby's sister, Kelsey, should absolutely file suit. Yeah, there's some horrible things online about Kelsey. Carol, are there any other cases out there that you are interested in? There is time in the future for Richard Allen to speak out. I'm still trying to like solve cases every day and find fugitives. So if I ever am successful, I'll do a YouTube video about it. I have mentioned a few times that I thought I found former FBI top 10 fugitive Robert William Fisher through like Personal's websites. Um, it was a crazy journey, and apparently I did not find him. I might do a video just showing like the crazy stuff that I did. Oh, maybe at some point. Luna says Rick's wife could accept money for an interview. Norwegian says hopefully no parole. Yeah, I highly doubt he would get released at any point. Unless maybe if the verdict is overturned and McClelland's like, well, I don't want to do a trial. Rick, if you truly are guilty, what kind of plea deal can we get? Would they give him 25 years and hope he dies by the time he's 75? I don't know what's really next. Hi, Susan. Will the families bring civil charges against Richard Allen? It remains to be seen. I don't know what they would get out of it, though. Are they satisfied with a jury saying he's guilty and him going to prison for the rest of his life? Hi, Banter Lions. He's liable to act up during sentencing and flipping the judge off screaming, I didn't do this for the drama. Something just popped into my mind. Was there a guy in Las Vegas who jumped over the judge's, what is it, her throne? And he attacked the woman in Las Vegas, but I don't think Rick can jump over the thing. High criminality. Thank you. Thank you also for your coverage. I think we might disagree on certain things. If you want to join and have a polite discussion, feel free to click the stream here. But thank you. I really appreciate your generosity. And thank you. I think you were one of the people who actually, I think I gave you some money. I gave you some money because you got some of the transcripts. So thank you for helping to get that. Katie, what are you making for Thanksgiving? Not turkey. I'll post my recipes from my mom probably tomorrow on my community thing. Poor people want to join my live chats for Thanksgiving. We'll see what happens. Hi, Dee Dee's. Maybe after my live chat, if I'm bored, I have to finish this Delphi video. I've been working on it for like 2 weeks. Dee Dee's, listening while at Home Depot. Rewatched your first Delphi video and really admire your unbiased and in-depth reporting since day one. Really appreciate you. Thank you for being a moderator and for joining so many live chats. I appreciate you. Thank you. I watched my first Delphi video, the 2 hour and 11 minute one, like a year ago, and I was not impressed by myself. Thank you for all the nice comments. KCL says, do Brian Koberger. His trial is not until summer of 2025. We'll say if hi Precy. Precy says the Missy Beavers case will not be solved after 8 years. If there are ever any updates on that case, I will do YouTube videos about it. I might try to interview. I might do, in addition to cooking with strangers, I might do talking with strangers or something else where I interview people. And I kind of want to interview the family of Missy Beavers and also Libby's family to show like what it's like to not only lose a family member, but then people online falsely accuse you of being involved in their murders. Yeah, I haven't done a making fun of the news in a hell of a long time. I look at news stories and headlines, and there's nothing funny going on in the world, unfortunately. It's all sad. Hi, Mitzi. Thank you. Yeah, I'm still waking up at like 5 a.m. That's okay. That's my problem. Ah. Katie says Long Island serial killer would be really cool to see you cover. He seems so guilty. He's horrible. I don't understand like people like him who even do this, and then they're like, "Oh no, I'm not guilty," when the evidence is so obvious that he is guilty. That's another case where the police totally messed up, and there's corruption in that case. Tom on Kill Tony. I'm not sure that I'm going to Austin, Texas, but we'll see what happens next year. Hi, who dat? Rick was guilty beyond any doubt. Just him, no one else. He said that in one of his confessions, he said it was just him. An entire police station, etc., doesn't come together to frame one guy. I mean, there were obviously a variety of police errors. Essentially, I mean, it all started with somebody saying he was cleared on this tip. One thing after another. Yes, I think there's some kind of quote about something incompetence and corruption, like don't confuse the two. I just don't see how everybody in Indiana was trying to frame this one innocent person. I just don't see that his timelines add up. I guess this is about the part where the defense attorneys are guilty of something. Maria said they made up stuff in criminal court with the intention of letting a child murderer free. They definitely were called out a few times by Judge Gull for saying things that were not true. Not sure if they can be charged with that. I doubt it. I know like the stuff about the odinous, it was said that things in a legal document, like the onus cannot sue the defense for putting out the Franks memos. And again, like all that stuff was based off of police investigations, not just stuff that the defense made up, although some of the things they kind of did make up. Hi, Peanut, forever. Hello, Hungary. That's two people in Hungary. I'll miss my two people in Hungary and my two people in Poland. Ah. And my one person in Hong Kong. Hi, Ling 8 Ling. Oh my gosh, Casey, I want to go on Wheel of Fortune, although I don't watch it. I need some cash. I actually auditioned for Wheel of Fortune. Here comes a funny story. And so I went to like this hotel ballroom for like Wheel of Fortune auditions because I passed my video audition. And I was doing well at these like fake puzzles, and they had like this little piece of paper where a woman would spin it to pretend like it was the wheel. And I was doing well with like the letters and the puzzles, and they're like, since I'm so shy and introverted, they're like, more energy, smile more. And I was like going more than or being more outgoing than I normally am. They're like, smile more. And then at one point, she spun it. It was landed on like $100, and she moved it to bankrupt. And she was essentially like, sit your ass down. You're not extroverted enough to be on our show. So I did not get on Wheel of Fortune. Ah, what a story. All right, moving along with our lives. Frankie Figs. Oh, I want to go on Survivor too. I submitted an audition for that, and they didn't call. I've watched Survivor like every year for like 15 years, but I've been so busy with Delphi, I've not seen a single episode this season. Moving along, Frankie Figs, hello. Is there anyone you think is not guilty? What? Is there anyone you think is not guilty? Because I said Koberger and Long Island serial killer. Just curious. I have two people who were charged, tried, who I think are not guilty, but most are guilty in my opinion. Any famous cases that I think were found guilty, who I think are not? Not that I can really think of. Obviously, there have been quite a few cases where people have been found not guilty, even like 30 years later, which is horrible, that people have been in prison for decades and lost their lives. A lot of these people do get some kind of monetary reimbursement, but like losing 3 decades of your life is not acceptable. I do not think Richard Allen has been falsely found guilty. Sub Rosa says, the defense did not prove Odinism at the 3-day pretrial hearings either between July 30th and August 1st. That's according to Judge Gull. Some people online disagree. Who's more important, people online or Judge Gull? Hi, Daphne. Yeah, I have a lot of crap that I'll be feeding you people online on my YouTube channel that I'm still mortified by in 2025. It's only going to get worse from here. Blinker fluid. I don't think he'll go against his wife and lawyer and mess up the appeal. What is his end goal, though? If he's saying so many times, I'm guilty, does he think he's going to be found like he should have been, whatever, not guilty and get out at some point and life is going to go back to normal? Or that he's going to get money for being incarcerated? There's obviously this big deal of him going to prison. Will there be some kind of lawsuit where he's going to get money? As some people said, maybe he doesn't deserve money because he was convicted of killing these 2 kids. Stay tuned. All right, I'll see some of you on Thanksgiving. Oh my God. Scott, I'm not going to say that out loud, but okay. Norwege, he said multiple times, quote, I want to tell the victims' families I'm sorry, end quote. This, at the sentencing December 20th, is his chance. I hope he takes it seriously and finds it within himself to do so. There might be some, I don't want to say fireworks at this hearing. It remains to be seen what Richard Allen is going to do. Say he wants to appeal or say, I did it, I'm sorry to the families, and I'm ready to accept my fate, Judge Gall. I think that's a possibility. Makes me wonders, Grandma serves scones with tea in the afternoon using the good china. Hi, Miss Dog Lover. Where's Bud Bundy? He was supposed to post a comment before. Daisy says, Hoosier Harvester video is huge in this case, in my opinion. I know. I really want to see this video. Unfortunately, they did not show it at the trial. They had this big screen TV. I've been waiting to try and determine in my mind, because I truly arrived at this trial saying that I would vote Rick not guilty at that point. However, it changed being in the courtroom. I really wanted to compare what I know about Rick's car to the 127 video. And they only printed out 9 screenshots for the jury because Mullen, the investigator, said the car is on the video for 9 seconds. So they took a screenshot of every second and gave it to the jury. Obviously, the jury voted guilty. So also, they had to compare 2 photos of Rick's car outside of CVS where he worked. I was in the second row that day. So I saw Richard Allen holding these 2 photos of his car close up. It's like a police officer stood outside and was like maybe 3 to 4 feet from his car taking a photo. So the jury compared it, and apparently if they voted him guilty, maybe they did not think there was any discrepancies between the 2 cars, and they thought he's lying about the noon to 1:30 timeline if he's arriving at 127. And he said 5 days after the murder, I was there 1:30 to 3:30. So that adds up with that 127. I understand, Blue. Jojo says, guys, I'm trying to interpret this. Guys, Dr. Walla told Gray Hughes and Marsh about the van. I don't watch Gray Hughes, so I'm not sure about that. That's not shady. I said I really don't watch a lot of other people because I'm busy summarizing for myself. Um, how does that make Richard Allen innocent? Sienna. Yeah, I just want to go back to this. There seems to be a few wrong quotes being thrown around online that I want to kind of clarify. From the courtroom, Richard Allen never said the van was white. A lot of people are saying he said he saw a white van. Brad Weber, who lives at this private drive, his van is or was white. Brian Harshman said Richard Allen never said the color, make, or model of the van. He just said a van came down the driveway and I took them across the creek. The other wrong quote, as far as I know, I have to get my notes here. Yeah, so I'm doing the summary video of the entire case and the entire trial. I'm on page 77 out of my 239 pages of notes, so it's going to take like another week or so. But I want to do this. Some people are saying that Rick's wife, on October 26, 2022, Jerry Holman leaves the interrogation room and they allow Rick's wife, Kathy, to spend time with Rick alone. Obviously, they're trying to like get some evidence, I guess. So it wasn't really said what she was doing before that point, but I guess she's maybe talking to another officer, possibly Dave Vito, the detective, and showing her certain evidence that they think points towards Rick being bridge guy. So it seems like there's this quote going around that Rick's wife in that little interrogation room said something like, "You lied to me. You said you were not on the bridge," or something like that. So my notes, as this video was playing, and when she cried, Rick's wife cried, she kind of mumbles, and it's hard to hear. And just the audio in general is hard. So I wrote, Rick's wife came in and said a few things, which I couldn't hear. She cried and something about ask him questions. Rick's replied, they showed me that picture too. So maybe they just showed her the bridge guy on the bridge photo. Rick said, I can't explain something, unless it was the unspent round photo. Rick said, I can't explain something. It's impossible. This is what I do know. A bullet from my gun, not near a murder scene, not near Abby and Libby. I never saw those two girls. I didn't even have my gun that day. Next, I wrote, his wife replied, I wrote, witness said it was you there, comma, how they know it was you, comma, were you on bridge, question mark. So she did not say, you never told me you were on the bridge. However, if she's saying, were you on the bridge, why would she be asking that if she knew that he was on the bridge and he told her that? So in like 5.5 years, when they discussed this case, did he say, I was only on the trail, never on the bridge? And as some people pointed out, their house gets raided on October 13th. In like 13 days later is when they're having this discussion. In those 13 days, they never said like, what the hell, Rick? Were you on the bridge or not? So she said, she said, were you on the bridge? I'll just read these next few statements just to give some clarity. Rick replied, I told them I was on the bridge, out on First Trestle. You're not going to get in trouble. What's that all about? I told you, again, these are my notes as I'm trying to write down as quick as possible. I told you I walked, ... I love you, baby. Like, why did he change the ... I wrote ... I'm not sure if I missed what he said, if I walked on the trail. Maybe he said, I told you I walked on the bridge. I just did not get a chance to write it down. So I just want to clarify. He may have said, I told you I walked on the bridge. But then he says, I love you, baby. So just to be clear, what I wrote was, I told you I walked ... I love you, baby. So hopefully this evidence will come out this October 13th, or this was October 26th interrogation. You guys can turn up the volume yourself and hear it and decide for yourself. He said, I'm not sure what they're trying to do. I love you. He leaned in and kissed her on the lips. They're not going to get away with it. I'm not going to say I didn't do something I didn't know or do. You know me and know I would never do this. All I can say is, you know me and I know you. So you can make your own assumptions about that, Sienna. Thank you, Carol. I'll let you know if I'm ever doing comedy in Atlanta. Hi, Goran from Croatia. Lots of international people. Jojo says Walla and Gray Hughes are in big trouble. He knew about the van in March. Where are you getting that information from? TJ, Tom, if you don't keep doing live chats, you're going to get so behind on the chat. Right now, I am 30 minutes behind on the chat. We're at 55 minutes. Like I said, since it's the last live chat for at least like 6 months about Delphi, I might go more than 2 hours. Banter Lions, I hope he does confess during sentencing so all of the I am Richard Allen people fade away. I would like him to give a detailed account. So in my mind, I just know how, like, obviously he owes nothing to me. Like for the families, not just the victim families, but his family also, to move on with their life instead of spending the next 5 years wondering, like, we think he's innocent, but in reality, he's guilty, just trying to be found not guilty. Who Dat says anyone still on the fence needs to watch Gray Hughes' timeline of the event. It is so simple to follow and it makes it so obvious. Yeah, a lot of people said it should have been played for the jury so they can get a better idea, but they obviously got a good enough idea. I just don't think as I said, his noon to 1:30 timeline does not add up at all. First of all, 3 days after the murders, he said he walked into the sheriff's station and said, I was there 1 to 3. I was there for 2 hours. I was there at 2:13. 2 days after that is when Dan Doolin called him and they met in the grocery store parking lot. He changed the timeline to 1:30 to 3:30, and on the stand, Doolin said, I noticed that he changed the timeline. So like 3 days and 5 days after the murders, don't you think like his memory is a little bit better about when he was there? So both times he said, I was there 2 hours. I only saw 3 girls at the start of the trail when I got there. We know between like 1 and 3:30, there were several other people on the trail. He never saw them. Nobody ever saw Richard Allen on the trail. He said, I went to platform 1 to watch fish. The creek was dirty from melting snow. He then said, I went to a bench overlooking the creek for a few minutes. He said that, I think, October 13th, 2022. So it takes, I'm sorry, I'm going to ramble for just like 2 or 3 minutes or 2 hours. It takes 3 minutes from CPS to the start of the trail. It takes about 15 minutes from the start of the trail to the start of the bridge. So that's like 18 minutes-ish. Let's say 20 minutes from his car to the high bridge, 20 minutes back. So that's 40 minutes out of 2 hours that he said he was there. He said he's looking at fish, but there aren't any fish in this murky water. So how long is he looking over this bridge 63 feet down to do what? He said he sat on a bench for a few minutes. So like, where is it? What is he doing for an hour and 20 minutes where nobody is seeing him and he's not seeing anybody? The trail is, I mean, it does have some bending areas, but it makes no sense to me. The noon to 1:30 timeline, 1 to 3, or 1:30 to 3:30. What just happened there? The timeline that adds up to me is the 1:30. Obviously, if his car is seen, I'm having some technical difficulties. Hold on. If his car is seen at 1:27, parks at CPS around 1:30, walks a few minutes to the start of the trail, sees these girls that he said these girls, I'm pretty sure it's the October 13th interview that I found very interesting. He said it seemed like one of these girls was in charge of the others, like they were sisters, and she was like babysitting. And it turns out that 3 out of the 4 girls who saw Bridge Guy were sisters. And 2 of the girls were 12, 13, and 2 were 16. I mean, that's a huge coincidence that does not add up to me. So it's like some of this stuff is why I changed my mind to vote guilty. And also Betsy Blair, it was revealed that she got there around 12:02 to 1:15 for her first first two loops of her exercise, she said she didn't see anybody, but actually, as some people say, I am kind of fair, and I try to like look at facts, and she did not see the four girls. The four girls took a photo of Freedom Bridge at 12:25, High Bridge at 12:43, and bench number 2 at 1:26. So if they're walking from like Freedom Bridge around 12:25, they get to the start maybe 12:30, and then they walk to High Bridge and take a photo at 12:43. How is Betsy Blair walking and not seeing them? And then they take a photo at 1:26 at bench 2. I just don't know how this works out. I need to figure out. Somebody have Gray Hughes do a video. How it adds up that Betsy Blair is there at 12:02 to 1:15, and the four girls are there around 12:25 to at least 1:30, and they don't see each other. Thank you. I'm not doing it. Other people said that his Bible got bigger as it got closer to the last day. I never remembered him carrying in anything when I was there, like the first 2 weeks. Scott, I'd like to know if they ever found a timestamp for that beer purchase that he claimed. It seems like the law enforcement did not do a lot of follow-up. Because even on the stand, like the defense would say, well, did you do this? And they're like, no, it wasn't good. So Bud Bundy apparently left. His comment before, something like, wouldn't it be ironic if Rick goes to prison and he has to join a white gang and it turns out to be the Odinists? I thought that was kind of funny. Brian, it's a red flag when they turn to religion. Well, March 21st, 2023, Rick said he found religion, and one of these 7 phone calls I found very believable. He called his mom and he started, I think this was the only one where he was crying. He said something like, are you going to church? And she said, yes. And it seems like she had never really gone to church previously. And he said, when did you start going to church? I believe my recollection was he started crying. It sounded like tears of happiness that she found religion soon after, around the same time that he did. In that phone call, I think it was April 2nd. So he did not say he was guilty of the crime on that phone call. But it seemed to me like he was legitimately sane and happy that his wife also found religion. And he said a few times, I'm so thankful to, I think it was Dr. Frank or somebody. Maybe his wife's friend gave his wife a Bible and she sent Rick the Bible. He started reading and he said he found God March 21st, 2023, and starts confessing after that. Although apparently there's this other thing. The warden timestamped a letter from Rick saying, I'm ready to confess, March 5th. There's some kind of discrepancy that it may have been April 5th. I'm not sure. Hopefully that evidence will also come out. We have, I know this isn't a troll, so I'll give 2 thumbs up if you're ready. That's 1 thumb up. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Hi there.
Hello.
How are you?
Here, I got to get I forgot to put my headsets on, I guess. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, what's going on? I get all these comments that are like, oh, Gray knows Dr. Walla, stuff like that.
So somebody's saying she was telling you in March or something about the van or something?
No. The thing is, I heard a rumor. Another YouTuber who's dialed in with all these people told me that they heard in March of this year that there was a rumor that, Richard Allen confessed to a psychologist about seeing a van on the private drive. And then we looked up to see what time, and we thought, oh, okay, he probably got off work at 3 o'clock, and then we had it like 3 to 3:30. We didn't have all the details. But that's, I don't know Dr. Walla. Dr. Walla did apparently watch my channel and also these other channels, but I've never talked to her. I mean, it's just amazing. And what they did with the clever editing they did online to make it look like it was, I commented on March 15th of this year, right? And they took the year off. Then they show the date that Richard Allen did the confession. It was like April 13th or something. And they took the year off of that. And they say, look, he knew before. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The rumor, though, was he confessed to that. Mm-hmm. So how could that be behind, before that? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. But anyways, I appreciate your work and stuff that you've done on.
Thank you, Joe. So I was just saying that I would like you to do a simulation of how did Betsy Blair not see the 4 girls between 12:02 and 1:15? I know that the 4 girls went to the High Bridge, and they said they took this short path from the High Bridge down to the creek. So I can understand that she would not see them then. I don't know. I just need to think about it more because.
Well, I can show on my screen my actual, and I have it sitting on the screen. I always have it sitting there. The little animation thing that you can just see the movements, and you'll just see.
But does it show the 4 girls' movements too? Going.
Yeah. Well, I just have. They're represented by 3 because at the time, I think there was 4 girls, but only 3 were witnesses. But I have 3 spheres moving along the path and everything.
But do they not? We didn't know that, or at least I did not know that Betsy Blair was there from 12:02 to 1:15 until the trial.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess what you're saying is on her previous.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm concerned. Like, she did not see. They did not see each other.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends. I mean, her path was from Mears to the bridge, and then down the 505 trail, right, and then up back to the main trail, and then to the Freedom Bridge, and then back to the car, right?
Yeah. She said she would go about halfway down the 505. So
505.
She would not see the girls that down at the creek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess there could just be a time, she's moving kind of quick, and if they're just off a little bit, but she did 2 other laps, right? Like, so she was like really moving around on there. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's sort of interesting. They got there at 12:25 though. Right. I mean, I guess what we could say is, who knows? What if it wasn't even true that? I mean, I guess her car might be on the camera doing the other 2 laps, but we know that at 12:25, the 4 girls started at the Freedom Bridge. And then made their way, and then at 12:43 took a picture at the Monon High Bridge, and then at 1:26 at the bench, right? So they basically cleared the entire area of Richard Allen too, though, like his story, right? So they're there from 12:25 all the way to 1:30. So Richard Allen's whole story, I got there at 12 and left at 1:30 is completely bogus. But then it's also weird, like you're saying, I guess, that is she saying that she never saw those?
At that trial, she said for her first 2 loops between 12:02 and 1:15, she did not see anybody. So I'm saying, like, if I'm in my mind, I'm saying she did not see Richard Allen and he did not see her, then if she did not see the 4 girls, then maybe I should not be saying Richard Allen is guilty based upon Betsy Blair not seeing him between 12:02 and 1:05. But
yeah,
even the four girls getting there at 12:25, that's an hour before Rick left. They have to walk past all 6 benches to even get to the High Bridge at 12:43. He said I was on the trail, the High Bridge, and a bench. Even if he was on the bench 6 at Mears, there's no way he would not see them or they would not see him, even though it's a few feet off, or like whatever, 20.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's the only bridge. That's the only bench, by the way, I think that looks over the.
That's actually not true.
Is there another one? Is there another one? I don't know the other. But there's 2 benches that are by that bridge over there. That's not really a bridge, but when you're walking towards the Freedom Bridge, and then there's like a sort of a wooden area, kind of. I don't know.
I just changed my background.
Right there. Yeah.
I think that's bench 3. So that's the only other one that would be considered overlooking the creek, which is what he said at the on October 13th.
He said he was sitting on that bench right there, though, because I don't see that.
I went to sit on a bench overlooking the creek. Mullen did not follow up saying was it the Mears intersection or somewhere else.
So you think that seat there looks over the creek? Because I was there, and it seems like you kind of have to. Yeah, it kind of does, but you couldn't see it by sitting there. I think that one by the Mears, though, right? Like, you could just sit there and like look at the creek.
That's what I was saying before. He said he was only there for a few minutes. It's like, what happened to this other hour and 40 minutes?
Right.
Just not seeing.
Yeah, who in the hell would go there for 2 hours, by the way? Especially if you just say you're going to go look at fish. You're going to get there at 1:30, and I mean, it's so obvious that the 1:30 timeline is correct based on, there's 3 verifications. You have the 1:26 photo at the bench. They then see a person matching Richard Allen's description as they're leaving, and then his car 1 minute after that drives by the Hoosier Harvest store, and he said he parked at an old building, and that's really the only building around that you could literally park at without having your car towed away. And he passes, and he says he saw 3 of the 4 girls. He doesn't say 4, but he says he described them similarly, right?
Well, he said they were sisters. On October 13th, he said they appeared to be sisters babysitting, and one was in charge, and 2 of them, or 3 out of the 4, were sisters or half sisters.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
And another thing that I found interesting was like the defense kept saying Betsy Blair passed CPS at 2:15 and noticed this car was parked in an odd spot against the building. However, she also passed at 1:15. She never noticed that car in that odd spot. So if Rick was parked there at 1:15 and left at 1:30, why did she not notice it when she went to the Delphi library?
Well, you're just saying he can't.
I'm saying his noon to 1:30 timeline does not add up because of that.
Right. There's like 3 things, because you just said a minute ago the Betsy Blair, one of her loops was between what, 12:02 and basically almost.
She was in 12:02 and 1:15 for her first 2 loops.
See, that's what's incredible, is that's exactly during that time frame. She didn't see him, neither did the 4 girls, but she didn't see them. So it could have just been, maybe it went like this. The 3. So what time are you originally stating? So 12:02, and then she would walk.
When Betsy Blair arrives on Hoosier Harvest. Then the girls arrive at 12:25.
So I'm just trying to figure out, like, maybe as she was going down the 505 trail, those girls walked by and made their way towards the bridge, and then she isn't going back that way because that's her first destination. And then she goes down the 505, the girls pass, and then she goes up to the Freedom Bridge and then back to her car. Does that make sense? I mean, that could be why she didn't see her. I mean, it's just
maybe the girls came up from the 505 just as she was leaving at 1:15. I don't know. I do have some concerns about it, because if I say, like, if she didn't see Richard Allen, then she also didn't see the 4 girls, at least at that time period. So
yeah, I mean, to me, like, when the probable cause document came out, and I did you keep hearing about this mapping thing, it just, to me, it locks him in. He was bridge guy. I made a video 6 months ago saying Richard Allen is bridge guy, because there's no out for him. The timing and everything that they said, it just places him as the guy that Betsy Blair saw. And it even got worse for him, because at trial, didn't Betsy Blair say she turned around at the
barricade?
The barricade, right? Well, that's actually 111 feet from platform 1, and she said 50.
Where did you get that number from?
Well, I can just, on Google Earth, you can actually measure it. You have a measuring tool. It's pretty accurate. I mean, let's just say 100 to 120 feet. So that means she was really, and 37 yards, really, over a third of a football field. And she's not really going to get a great look at somebody to be able to say, oh, he was handsome and had.
She said it was for a moment. And that's, I just kind of dispelled a few other rumors before you logged on. People are saying that she said he was beautiful. The testimony was, you said he was boyish and youthful. It was.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, okay. Because I keep hearing that reported.
Yeah. So I never heard beautiful, and it was never put in the defense filing. So that's one other rumor.
I wonder why that was said by so many different actual people that were there.
I think people didn't hear, and one person said they were copying their notes from one person to the other.
The telephone game. Yeah. So she said, like, brown, poofy, curly, like, hair, kind of like poofy hair, right?
Well, for that part, she said I was comparing, or I was applying to 2 different sketches that were presented to me. Was why she said the brown poofy hair.
Oh, weird. That's crazy. Yeah. And
so then, she's doing the sketch, I guess they presented, like, they have this book from the FBI that has all different kinds of, like, hairs and stuff like that. So I guess when she said brown poofy, it was when she was comparing 2 options.
How adamant did they seem that because that was kind of what, despite the, everybody knows that people's recollection of what they saw when you're asked a day later and you weren't told to remember something isn't very good. But when they all saw the picture of Bridge Guy, they said, yep. I mean, did they seem pretty adamant, every one of them? Like, believable? Yeah.
Although I was kind of concerned about Sarah Carbon not coming forward for 3 weeks. Yeah. Especially she went to the trails, like, every day with her dogs. Like, wouldn't you be afraid that, like, the killer's on the loose? And why would you not tell police you saw somebody bloody?
Yeah, I mean, it is. And here's the thing: is I actually go through, and I almost, I'd say 90% of the time when I go through my timeline to show people, I always forget Sarah Carbaugh. Like it's just like it doesn't even to me. It's like okay, the killer. There's a killer there, and they got back to the car somehow, and that is Richard Allen because his bullets found at the crime scene. Now you might argue that point, but he admitted to ejecting it with information that only the killer would know. And so I thought it was interesting how he, I think it was on the 13th of October or the 26th, talking to Holman, where he said, he actually mentioned almost the exact same story. He went to his mom's house, right? Do you remember that? He even said he went to his mom's house, then he went home and got a jacket, then he went to the bridge. He just left out the part about getting the six-pack, drinking, you know what I mean? It's pretty damning stuff. I mean, it actually mirrored the same thing that he said to, I think it was Holman. Is that right? Or,
I'm not sure about that, but I think to Walla, he said he bundled up, and obviously a lot of these witnesses said it was so odd that bridge guy was, I mean, essentially bundled up on this warm day.
yeah, but you know what's weird is it was only 43 degrees as a high that day. So it's like, I don't know, right? He looks like what a normal, rational person might dress like. You know, when kids get in, when the sun comes out, kids are like, woo! You know, it could be 42 and, 38, and they're running around with shorts on because it's sunny. You know, that's what I think was going on. I bet most of the people out there that day were dressed somewhat warm, like it was cold out. I don't know. I'm just coming on here because some people say, "Hey, go up there, Gray," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Never actually
Well,
spoken.
I appreciate you clarifying it. And, I appreciate all the work you've done on this case over many years. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. So I don't know if you want me to stay up here. I can take off and make it open for somebody else or whatever you want to do. It's kind of fun just talking about various elements. Is there any?
If you
other...
want to, as I highlight a few more comments, if you want to.
Okay.
Let me look in my comment section. Somebody asked me, like, what questions do you still have? And something that just popped up into my mind was, how was he even seen by Sarah Carbaugh and then not seen on Hoosier Harvest Store or mirrors? Did he walk behind the Hoosier Harvest Store? What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I have. Well, here's what I think is, those people, when Sarah Carbaugh drove by, there was a group of people showing up, probably like Becky or Tara, whatever. They're all just showing up to start looking. And then she sees Muddy and Bloody Guy. And then he would see those same people there. He's not going to walk by a group of people on a road slowly, muddy and bloody. So he probably cut behind the mirrors and then Hoosier Harvest Store, like that. If it's even real that Sarah Carbaugh saw him. I mean, it's also weird too, because the state's theory is that they were dead by like 2:33 or ish, because that's when the 2:32 and 39 seconds when the phone stopped moving. But then he's there for another hour. I mean, what the hell's he doing there? Right? Because it takes like 20 minutes probably to walk up the hill and be back out on the 300.
Well, we were talking. I remember chat before this, and obviously there's some branches, mostly at near their head. So I was wondering, were there not really many other larger branches that he could have been spending time to put on them? Did he use up all of them, or I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, how about this theory too? Because maybe he was interrupted twice. When he sees the van, he goes across, and I don't think they were killed right away. I think the phone just was in a position where it wasn't going to be moving. This is my theory. And he went on to do whatever he was going to do. He had them undressed at gunpoint, so it's not like they make it sound so difficult in that Odin document. Oh man, one man acting alone with dexterity. I mean, no, at gunpoint he had them undressed, etc. And then when Cheyenne and her friends were on the bridge, I think that was, what time that was? Probably about 3:30 on the other end ish.
Yeah, but also her dad, I guess, at some point was screaming her name. So did he hear that?
Yeah, well, he was right at the start of the bridge, though. He didn't go out on it. So they could have, right? And so he was there. He got there. I'm not sure what time he actually made it to the bridge, because first he went down the 505 trail and back up. So that would have been maybe later, right? Like 4 was when he might have said that. But maybe those girls were talking really loud on the bridge. I know that the wind was blowing towards the crime scene, and that actually helps sound. You can hear it better. So maybe he could really hear them clearly. And he was in the middle of building something, and then he takes off. He goes, "Oh, I got to get the hell out of here," just like he got spooked with the van. So, maybe it's something like that. I don't believe the Odinist stuff.
Me neither. I mean, they never proved it in their four Frank's memos.
Right. I mean, they never once connected a person as being there. Richard Allen answered every single question that was ever posed. Like the law enforcement had all these things they wanted an answer for, and he answered every one of them. That's
Are
what's
there any
amazing.
questions you have that you would want him to answer?
Well, yes, the one I want is why did you know that the girls are going to be there that day? And if you did, how did you know that? Because I still have this lingering. I was told by one of the investigators that they could find no connection between Richard Allen and Keegan Kline. But it's just, you got to admit, like, it's just mind boggling that you have a catfishing account communicating with Libby and Abby probably that same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And they get killed by some other random person. And the girls, didn't they say that he looked like he was on a mission? The 4 girls. Do you remember?
Well, one girl said he looked like not a mission. He's walking with purpose. However, I think you've been on this trail, correct?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, 4 girls. I think actually Rayleigh was kind of walking behind. It's so narrow, even at that point. Like 4 people, like Richard Allen and Bridge Guy, and these 3 girls in front. It's too narrow for them to walk. So I think one of the younger girls got behind the others. And I think he was just walking fast to get past them, not necessarily to go meet somebody at the end of the bridge.
But what if you combine that with what Betsy Blair said? It looked like he was waiting for somebody. So isn't that sort of interesting if you combine both together? I guess, each one can be taken separately.
But I don't know, what did somebody waiting?
Right.
She said he looked over her, and it didn't seem like he was looking for her, so she turned around. It's like she only saw him for a moment, is what she said, a moment.
Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't waiting for her, right? Because they didn't match. So maybe he was waiting for, So, I mean, that was her perception. Doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? Like, just the crazy coincidence in that same morning he goes to almost basically Peru, Indiana, exactly where the Klines live. It's just crazy.
I don't think there's any connection between the Klines and Richard Allen. Because especially the Anthony Schatz thing, police found him because they looked at Comcast to find out who was accessing the Instagram and Snapchat. And it pointed towards an IP address in Peru, not Richard Allen's home. So Richard Allen was not accessing the Anthony Schatz.
But what about the Dropbox? Yeah, I mean, I know that part of it, but what about the Dropbox account? And then maybe it was just analog where when let's just throw this hypothetical. That morning, he goes over there. And just after he leaves his mom's house, if he even went to the mom's house, we don't know if that's, something that actually happened. Nobody testified other than him or mentioned it. Like he actually was told, hey, there's these 2 girls that are going to be there by, the Klines or somebody else who had access with that. And then he drove, that's why he gets his beer, drinks those 3 beers and just hauls his ass over to the bridge on a mission. It's just something to think about. I guess we'll find out if there's ever any, at the last minute, if Richard Allen does have any other information, he can use it to bargain to maybe get better prison treatment or something. Who knows, right?
It just seems weird that to Dr. Wallach, he said, I bought a 6-pack, I drank 3, and then after I committed these murders, I drank the other 3. Like, why would you include that odd feature that you drank the other 3 after you murdered these kids?
Right, it's almost like he's just, wow, it was so casual, man. It is pretty bizarre. I mean, it gives more of a reality feel to it, though, right? Because why would you even bring up details like that?
So Jojo says the sticks on the bodies are in a Germanic time pattern. Even on top of the blood pools are on star shape. They didn't investigate. Let me prove it to you, please. So I did not see any proof that the branches were in an Odinist rune symbol. What do you think?
No, I mean, you could see that each body had one larger stick and maybe another stick cross. It looked like he was in the middle of building, like putting one larger one, one smaller one. He was going to keep going and then got interrupted and took off.
I do think like the tree blood, it does seem very straight to me. Like the main vertical line.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I don't think it was a Fehu or whatever.
I agree. As a matter of fact, I did this coloring thing where it just looks like the the extension of the lower horizontal line of the F continues, but it's really just a dot over there, and there's nothing in between. It matches more of just a hand being on there, like they were saying.
And the defense was trying to say it was F for hail, and the message meant Hail Odin. But then the blood spatter expert Cecil, or was it Cecil's blood spatter? Oh no,
No, I don't think.
Somebody
I think
else.
he was. Can't remember.
Cicerone.
Yeah.
He said it was an upside down L, like you just said, and the upside down L symbol in rune is water. So it's like that changed it from Hail Odin to Hail Water. So that's not really good for the defense theory.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things I think is funny too, how they say there's no DNA from Richard Allen. There's no way he could do this. Well, how about there's no DNA from a pack of wild Odinists that you claim were there? There wasn't any DNA from them either, right?
I mean, it is important to remind people that Odinist theory came from police, and then the defense kind of ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
However, Murphy and Click at the hearings in the summer said that we could not prove that any of these guys were actually there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the judge just threw it out. Like, there's any nexus at all that puts them at the scene. I thought that Odinist document was so irresponsible, and so just the way it was written was really, I don't know, did you read the whole thing? It was just childish.
I did a 7-hour video on it. I spent
Oh.
every day for 7 weeks. I was like looking into stuff.
Yeah.
I want my 7 weeks back.
Yeah, the whole thing, didn't it make you angry the way that they wrote this single solitary man acting alone had to pull.
I kept a spreadsheet of all the errors. Like, it was a disgusting crime against grammar.
Yeah, and then I actually think a YouTuber wrote that part. I mean, that just seemed like it was so childishly written. I mean, don't you think? I mean,
I don't know if it was the intern Max Baker. I saw him at the trial. I was there for like 2 weeks. I wanted to say to him,
okay, maybe it was.
I'm angry at you.
You should have asked him, man. We could have had the answer to the key question. And then they kept repeating over and over how Abby was killed in that same thing. How she lived longer,
Well, I mean, the guy who did the autopsy did say that she would have lived like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
However, It doesn't say if she was conscious or not.
Well, you've seen the photos also, so.
No, I've not seen the photos. I've avoided them.
Oh, you never saw them? Well, when you see Abby, I'll just explain. Like, she's got, her sweatshirt. You know how, like, if you took your sleeves.
I do know she was like this.
Yeah, she was kind of like this, kind of more out like that a little bit. But it's like, but she was gripping the end of the sweatshirt, so that's kind of odd, right? Like, that means she was alive while doing that, because it's not like you're going to pose somebody like it. Just doesn't make any sense. So that means she was alive and sort of cold for a bit, So I don't know what. It turns out it was true that she was killed, they believe, second. And I wonder if he changed his mind. What do you think about that? Like, he let her dress, and maybe he was going to let her live, but then out of his selfishness, like he said, killed her to save himself.
I don't know. I think, like he said, he wanted to assault them. And then once he saw this van, he's like, even if he was going to assault them, how would he let them live in that small town, hoping they wouldn't walk into CVS and identify him? So I think, even though it was motivated by sex, the end result had to be murder, so he wouldn't get in trouble.
Yeah, I think he was always going to kill, but maybe because he seems like he has a little bit of remorse of some sort, where maybe for a moment he was thinking of letting Abby live, but then he followed through on exactly, he's selfish and wanted to protect himself, so he killed him. And that's what his plan was going to be, but he didn't think that it was going to be hard. And I think, he's tried to confess. Have you ever seen somebody begging people to believe him? I mean, this guy wants somebody to believe that, I did it, but I want to know that you'll still love me even if you know that I did it. And they would say, well, we love you, but we don't think you did it. But that's not really giving him the answer he wants. You know what I'm saying?
I listened to those 7 phone calls in the courtroom, and I think he was sane. He did say, like, just to be fair, he did say once, I think I'm losing my mind. And he also said something like, I need sleep. But overall, he sounded 100% normal and sincere to me, telling his wife and mom, I killed Abby and Libby. I did it. I mean, he did say at one point, she said, like, I think his wife was like, why are you saying that? Instead of why did you do it? She's like, why are you saying that? He said, because I think I did it. And at some point he's like, because I did it. He's like, to his mom, I would not be telling you this if I did not actually do it. And like you said, they're just kept saying, stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
You're on a recorded line. We don't want you like,
God, it's
incriminating
crazy.
yourself.
I almost wonder if you could actually reverse the whole psychological element and say, do you think it may have caused psychosis that he was trying to unburden his soul and confess after finding Jesus, and you guys wouldn't allow him to, and you convinced him that he didn't do it, and he wasn't able to do that? You know, because they went out of their way to, like, no, you didn't do it. You didn't. I don't know. It was really frustrating. What did you think when you were listening to that? Was it just? It must have been so cool to be able to, interesting at least to hear his voice speaking.
Well, we had heard. I mean, the most shocking thing to me after following this case for the past almost 4 years, like I've thought about it. I'm sure, like you, like almost every day.
Yeah.
And we saw like him in this yellow jumpsuit last year. He looked horrible and crazy. I mean, I'm sure you remember him walking in. He looked out of it. He walked into the courtroom looking 100% normal, 100% sane. And he's just like standing there. It's like his trial is starting for killing 2 kids. And he seemed like totally normal. That was like one of the most shocking things. And finally hearing these confessions, I was like, was he truly crazy? And I'm just being honest. He said he needed sleep and he might be going crazy. Other than that, he sounded totally normal and sincere.
He did say, I think I did. He said, I think I did it once too, right?
Yes, but he also said, I did it repeatedly.
Right before that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to appease them saying, you didn't do it. And he goes, well, I think I did it, But
you were saying he said, like, I need to know that you're still going to love me. But if he's like truly lost his mind, why would he be even cognizant of that as being a consequence of saying?
Yeah, exactly. And then one time at the very end, when I guess his mother, you must have heard it, must have been on one of the calls when he was talking to the mother, and he said, regardless. She said, yeah, we'll love you. And he goes, regardless if I killed him? And then she finally said, yes, regardless. So that was probably the answer he was finally looking for. But how come it never got converted into, like, that's it, I mean,
I can understand the wife and the mom feeling like he isn't capable of doing this. Like the person they knew is not capable of murdering 2 kids. I understand that. But I just think, like, I don't know how much they've actually even looked into the facts of this case. And like I say, and you said too, like the timeline does not add up. Like, are they even paying attention to that?
Yeah, he is absolutely bridge guy. That's the thing. And bridge guy is at minimum responsible for taking the girls down the hill and bringing them to the crime scene. But there's no other evidence of anybody else being there other than him because they found his bullet there. The bullets are pretty, I actually leave that out of the story a lot too, but the bullet's pretty big because it, shows that he's at the crime scene. But you've already his confession that matches the timeline really kind of just locks him in. And, every element's important, but just now that there's a confession out there with only information the killer would know, it's amazing how they put it all together. It's weird what did you think about them not having the information about how many black Ford Focuses are there? I mean, it took a jury member to ask the question, right?
Then they go. Only recently, Mullen looked up, and there's only one 2016 black Ford Focus registered in Carroll County, and it belonged to Rick.
But isn't that weird that they didn't look that up before? I mean, isn't that just sort of like, wouldn't you have thought of that?
I mean, I said, how does Tony Liggett see this video at 1:30 and then pass by CVS is 1 block from Carroll County Sheriff? For years, he walks or drives by, and Rick's black Ford Focus is backed up against, he parks in reverse, and it has like black hubcaps. I don't know, did Tony Liggett even watch this video from Hoosier Harvester?
Well, that's what's sort of odd, because it sounded like that after they arrested Rick Allen, he goes, ooh, let me go look at that video again. So he went back out to the Hoosier Harvest store. Well, let me ask you this. How come it bothers me that they didn't have the video in their own facility stored from that camera. Why did you have to go back out there and hope to God they still, I don't know, that's just bizarre. And then you see the car drive by and you go, ooh, wow. And so that would have been back in 2022. So wouldn't you look up that information about how many there are in the area? Then I guess they went to the place where he works and saw it was parked back in or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they said they could see it backed in, right? Anyways, it's just it's been such an interesting. I've been covering the case since, well, not when you say covering, I followed the case the night they were missing, and then I made my first video 10 days after the homicide, the killings. Didn't really have a really small YouTube channel. I just put out videos that people watched, but it's been a long time.
So do you have, I mean, like I said, I thought about this case almost every day, and I'm finally in my mind, I do believe Richard Allen was Bridge Guy, even though I don't think his face jumps out to me. I think the body of Bridge Guy and the small feet match Richard Allen.
Uh-huh.
And so I in my mind, I finally don't have to wonder who was Bridge Guy. I truly believe it was
Yeah.
Richard.
Well, have you ever seen? I did a side by side where I take the what Richard Allen looked like in about 2017, and they stand next to each other, look exactly the same. It's from behind, and then this one's front, but the body shape is just 100%. And then I took an actual when he's playing pool at night and it's kind of grainy. I took that face and put it on in the Bridge Guy photo, and you just kind of turn it on and off, and it's very consistent. It's weird how when you can't ever use that kind of crap in court, but because that is Richard Allen, it should match, right? And it does.
Well, I just don't understand how his wife never put two and two together. I don't know if you were on before when I read that she said, "Were you on the bridge?" or something like that. And did
I think I heard part of that. Yeah, can you go over that part again? That'd be interesting.
October 26th, she comes in the room, says, "A witness said it was you there. I wrote, how they know it was you? Were you on bridge?" And then Rick said, "I told you I walked," and I wrote ... "I love you, baby." So I'm not sure if I did not get to write down, "I told you I walked on the bridge." Did he say, and I just missed that? But I wrote, "I told you I walked ... And then he changes the subject to "I love you, baby."
I've heard that finished before. I think somebody else said it walked on the trails.
Okay,
He didn't say bridge.
I'll have to look in for other
Yeah,
people.
I mean, you'll have to see somebody else, but that's the part I heard somebody say that he said that he walked on the trails, but he never mentioned bridge.
Yeah, because she said, "Were you on the bridge?" Like, why would she be asking it for 5.5 years? She knew he was on the bridge.
Yeah, I actually think she, when she saw the picture, she thought maybe it looked like him and just kind of didn't want it to be. So, but then he never told her that he was on the bridge. So that really, I think that's a damning statement, sentence there. Just like his phone, never finding the phone from that he had. I mean, wouldn't that just make the jury just go, oh, geez, when he has all those other ones?
He did.
Yeah.
Because on October 13th, he said, "Maybe my wife recycled it." What happened after that? Did he go home and say, did he ask her, like, did he try to find it to prove his innocence? Obviously, in court, he does not have to prove his innocence. But if I'm being falsely accused of killing 2 kids, I want that phone to prove I was home at like 1:45.
Right, exactly.
What did he and his wife and the defense do to find that 2017 phone? It seems like absolutely nothing. And
I
now
wonder
he
if the prosecution, because couldn't you, with the IMEI number, I mean, it probably existed, right, that number. So were they ever able to find the last time it ever pinged off of something somewhere? I mean, that would be interesting, right, to go back to 2017 and see where did that phone go and when was the last time it did anything.
Mhm.
I don't know if they could do that, but
Well, they apparently did not, because it was not presented at the trial, and also it was not presented whether his phone pinged. I think even the prosecution didn't want the geofencing to be allowed. I guess Rick's house is about, I think, 1.5 miles, maybe in a direct line from the crime scene.
yeah, it's really
so even if he
close.
was there, maybe it came up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and what's crazy, if you I actually drew a line from the cell tower by Ron Logan to his house, and it goes right over the center of the bridge. I mean, it's like, and it's perfectly straight line from there. Oh yeah, let's see. Somebody's asking, why am I?
I'm over almost an hour behind on comments in StreamYard.
Oh really? Okay, all right.
I'll go down to the bot. I'll go down to the more recent ones.
And we got still people wondering, Gray's deleting content. No, I have about 1,000 videos that I put on private because, I don't know, remember when YouTube did their update? They did some terms of service update last year, and it had this weird wording about recreating visuals, and it freaked me out. So I just went through and ding, 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 and just hit a whole bunch of them, and it turns out they were talking about AI content that's, completely recreated, and now I just don't care.
So I have some screenshots. I'm sure you know of Bitterbeat poet Doug Rice, correct?
Yeah, he had some great information early
Yeah,
on.
so I have some screenshots. I mean, he had screenshots saying that if Bridge Guy is arrested, based on his discussions with Rayleigh Voorhees, that he'll be short in his 40s or 50s and resemble Jimmy Dale Duvall, which turned out to be true. But he also talked about Brad Weber, and my screenshots show that Brad came home, I guess according to his mom, at 3:30 to 3:50.
Hmm.
Do you recall ever hearing that Brad did not come straight home?
I never heard that he didn't come straight home. But when we were trying to figure out was that time frame, we had like 3 to 3:30. It wasn't really me that figured out; it was the other person. But I didn't have any information that he didn't go straight home. I guess that's sort of a key piece because apparently the FBI interview had something like that in there, but right, about him doing ATM machine.
Go ahead.
No, like he was doing ATM machines, something like that, working on his.
A few days, he did say I served an ATM, but the defense kept talking about that, but I never saw anything be presented which proved that he did say that within the first few days or so. High support with Stefa. Will we get access to discovery to get all evidence minus pics with Freedom of Information Act, not just evidence at trial? Are you familiar with how this works next? To get
oh no, I actually just called the. Well, not called. I emailed with the Carroll County, the person that you get the documents from. I guess we can get the trial transcript, but I asked about what about the exhibits, and she said, "Oh, I don't think they'll ever be." Like, I don't know. I mean, why can't we see the exhibits, like a graph or a chart or something? That just seems really. I don't know. Maybe after there's no more options for appeals, something like that. I'd love to see those interrogations. Did you think he sounded like Bridge Guy?
I did. I put on for February or October 13th. I wrote before I started to hear it. Once I knew they were going to play it, I wrote, "Does his voice sound like Bridge Guy? Yes or no?" I circled yes.
So, and it did. Like I heard it sound just like it's no doubt. Like it's just like boom. It sounds just like it.
I don't know if I'd say like absolutely 100%, but definitely listening to it and knowing what Bridge Guy's voice sounds like, I do think it definitely could be him.
So he has a kind of a little like,
it's
guys
husky.
Down, yeah, husky, yeah.
I plead the fifth. Hello. I kept telling everyone that it had to be a local. There's no way you would know the trails or where to take the girls unless he lived there. And actually, it's surprising. There were like 2 locals who said they had never even heard, like in their 50s, who never heard of the bridge or the trails.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. You hear that a lot. Like there's people that live there that never even knew it was there because it's kind of like a lot of kids would hang out there, and then some adults that knew about it would go there. It's not as rural. I mean, it's like people make it sound like it's so isolated out in the middle of nowhere, but there's homes all around. It's just the area it's in is kind of a, you could kind of look at it like a big park, But going across that bridge, you're pretty isolated. I mean, there's nothing, hardly anybody's walking down below there, etc.
Dream Suburb says, did anyone ever see Abby and Libby on the 13th? Yes. Betsy Blair saw Bridge Guy on platform 1. She turns around, and within like 2.5 minutes, she sees Abby and Libby headed towards the bridge.
Yep. And they're walking probably slower, I always put, because they're just there to goof around. They're just taking pictures where Betsy Blair's exercising. So she's probably got a nice, way better pace going.
Purple Emeralds makes a good point. Nobody ever really tipped Richard Allen in, despite his public job. How do you? I mean, I think that is interesting. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, when you look at that person on the bridge, can you really just say, "Oh, that's so and so"? It's too far away. The original video, I guess it's small, and then you crop it out and then blow it up. So you just can't tell. He's got enough stuff on. That's why they always tell you when you're doing a disguise to put hats on and jackets and so forth. And I think the only person that might have tipped him in would be someone like his wife. Other than that, how could you tell who that was?
Just I don't know. If you worked with somebody, wouldn't you recognize their voice and essentially a jacket they would wear to work?
Oh, you mean after the 2019 when they put out the? Yeah, I guess people just can't be that guy, so you're not going to tip him in,
Yeah, I mean, I heard some people would even walk into the Delphi CVS and would maybe get suspicious about Rick and then look at his body type and think, there's no way this guy is capable. He's too short. Support with Steffa says Haldol claim or calms you down. It doesn't make you confess, and it definitely doesn't make you confess to murder and get the evidence correct. Obviously, that's a good point. I mean, he'd confessed over 10 months, and he was not on Haldol and crazy the entire time. I mean, he was like getting a piece of paper and writing on it to the warden saying, I want to confess. Picking up his tablet, calling his mom. He initiated the phone calls to his mom and wife saying, I did it. Telling inmate companions, telling the guard companions. And even as recently as February 4th, 2024, at Wabash, a guard was walking by and he said, I'm sorry for killing Abby and Libby. Why was
Yeah.
he so?
And then also, like, they didn't deem him to be. It seems like the timing is more like he confessed to his wife and mother on the phone. Then his wife hung up the phone, called the attorneys. They come in, and then wow, he's as crazy as just an absolute lunatic after that. You know, because before he'd already confessed a couple times prior to him being diagnosed as being psychotic, right?
Well, I think I said before, the warden has this letter from Rick saying, I want to confess, and it's stamped March 5th. However, there's some kind of confusion that it may have been April 5th. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think even that is prior to, because didn't they diagnose him on like April 12th or something? I don't know. I can't
They
remember.
diagnosed him on the 14th, or
14th.
the 13th started eating his crap, and the 14th they had the Haldol meeting and did the injection.
Yeah. I mean, I have speculations that they actually came in and said, hey, do you think you might be psychotic, Richard? And Richard goes, well, what kinds of things would I be doing if I was psychotic so I can let you know? And they say, well, this, and this, and this, and this. And then, oh my God, he's doing all the things that fit their little diagnosis that they can present at trial.
Well, apparently he would scream to the other inmates, I'm not crazy, I'm just acting crazy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I saw that one. That was a good note in one of the jury pool notes. That's what I was relegated to. It must have been so amazing to be there, though. You know, just be able to hear every word.
Well, actually, we couldn't hear every word because their sound system is horrible.
Oh.
I mean, they spent $70,000 on this podium, big screen TV, and it's been, I don't know how old the courthouse is. They haven't figured out how like people in the audience can hear. And it's not about me and other people. It's like the families of Rick need to hear the evidence against him and the families of Abby and Libby, and they couldn't figure out the speakers. So Purple Amarillo says, other than the phone calls, every other account of the confessions is hearsay. I hope they release the calls, including the one with his dad, that the judge would not allow, there's a phone call really early on the 3rd at like maybe 5-something a.m. And I agreed with the defense. They should have allowed that first. Then there's the phone calls to his wife and mom later. So I agreed with the defense that this early phone call with his stepfather should have been allowed to be heard by the jury to, I guess, get a better idea of what his mindset was that day.
Why didn't they allow it?
I forget, and I can't look at my notes right now. I have 239 pages, but I forget. But I do think it should have been allowed. I forget why Gull allowed the prosecution to have it denied.
Yeah. I'm just, I saw earlier somebody commenting about, I mean, there's literal full channels that go after Kelsey, you know, and I'm just wondering, like, I think they're absolutely opened up for defamation lawsuits because there was never any indication at all that Kelsey or any other family member had anything to do with anything, nor were they ever suggested to be part of anything at all. I know them. I've talked to them. I've eaten meals with them. They're just totally normal people going through a tragedy. And I just want to make sure that people know that if you're out there believing that stuff and, you know, supporting that there, you know, you need to check yourself. There's something wrong. Okay. It's absolutely horrendous. And there was such a perfect explanation for, and then they already were doing this. And then there was a hair found in Abby's hand. And just anybody with common sense would go, oh, well, she had on Libby's sweatshirt, who was actually Kelsey's sweatshirt. And then she was actually even wearing Kelsey's gray sweatshirt before that. So doesn't that make sense? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, what are your feelings on that? I think it sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, was saying before, I want to like do an interview. The other case I followed is Missy Beavers, and like the father-in-law is falsely accused of being the murderer in that case. And it's like, what happens when relative gets murdered and you're upset about that, but online people are falsely accusing you of being involved in the murder, it's just not right. It's like, how do people deal with that on top of their grief already?
Yeah. He did kind of walk. He did walk similarly. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I analyzed.
That's a weird case, though. That's a weird one.
Yeah. The father-in-law couldn't bend his right knee, but the killer could. And he was proven to be in California. Banter lines. Don't forget them saying Elvis said he spit on one of the girls, not necessarily Libby. But he was rambling and incoherent, according to his sister. He lived 2 hours away. I agree that Elvis Fields is suspicious with some of his comments, but I mean, I've never seen anything to show that he drove 2 hours away.
Wait a minute, man. There was a sighting at 7:30 in the morning on the private drive. It had to have been him, right? That's what they think.
He wrote on Facebook, "What did I do? Drive my turtle there?" Because I guess he didn't have a car.
But you know that there was in the trial, though, the neighbors said that they saw this guy at 7:30 in the morning that they didn't recognize. Correct. And everybody's saying that is Elvis Fields. I'll tell you what, though, if Richard Allen said he was an Odinist, I'll buy into the Odinist theory. Okay, because he was there. So if you want to believe that there was Odinist, well, he was there. So where are the rest of them?
Elvis Fields was that sighting was at the mailbox was 8:30, but Elvis Fields
phone, that was 7:30.
Moving between 10:30 to 7 p.m. a.m. to p.m. So if they had his phone, couldn't they see what he was doing at 6:30 to even drive 2 hours to Delphi to even be the person at the mailbox? And like the mailbox thing is like 6 hours before Bridge Guy, so yeah, it's kind of suspicious, but it doesn't add up to me that it was Bridge Guy.
I didn't put the time down, but yeah, they have Elvis over there, about right at that little T junction, where then it just becomes just the private drive for the Webbers. Yeah. Almost.
Sienna says, does Richard Allen even have an alibi for the entire day and night, though? His defense team didn't provide anything at the trial to show that he was not there, other than saying Betsy Blair went by CPS at 2:15 and did not see Rick's car. She saw a car from the 1960s. Richard Allen does not have a car from the 1960s, which means Richard Allen is not the murderer, which that's not a great alibi. And like I said, he also passed an hour prior at 1:15 when his car should have been there. Like he said, parked up against his building, which Betsy said was an odd spot, and she did not recognize it at 1:15. So,
yeah, because she would have driven that same exact way that she was leaving at 2:14, right? When she drove by at 1:14 or 1:15.
Correct.
He doesn't have an alibi. He says he was there. That's his alibi. He just wasn't the killer, is what he.
I mean, yeah, like the first 5 days, twice he said I was there at 2:13. Then 5 years later, he changed it.
Yeah, and I would think that would be suspicious to people that he changes it to exactly outside of the time frame that he gave before. And it's absolutely disproven because he saw the three girls and they see him as they're leaving at 1:30-ish, like 1:32 or so, I think, is when they pass each other, like 1:33 maybe.
And it's just like such a huge coincidence. He leaves dressed as Bridge Guy, his car parked back into the CPS building, and within a few minutes, Bridge Guy, wearing the same exact thing, also parks at this odd spot against the CPS building, and also passes a few girls at the start of the trail, and also is on platform 1, like Rick was also doing.
Yeah, and Betsy Blair says the person she saw that looked just like Bridge Guy was standing on platform 1. And then in the video, just minutes later, is the guy that looks exactly like that. All the witnesses said they saw is the person in Libby's video. So that person's at the end of the bridge taking the girls down the hill, wearing exactly the clothing that Richard Allen himself said he was wearing: blue jeans, a dark blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hoodie, and some sort of head covering. A skull cap is what it came out to later, but.
Yeah, I mean, he said he was wearing a skull cap or a head covering and a hoodie, which Bridge Guy was also wearing some kind of hat and a hoodie.
Everything. Yeah. And people use that as, well, why would he do that then? You know, here's the thing. I think back in the day when Dan Doolin, which they should have had this, once they put out the image. So here's what the timing is. They found the bodies on the 14th. The 15th, the image of Bridge Guy was put out to the public. And they said, we want to talk to this person to see what they saw. And then the next day, Richard Allen obliging that, he gets a hold of them, and he should, you know what, Dan Doolin should have had a picture in his pocket, with him and said, yeah, we know you're there, Richard. You're right here. We got you on a trail camera. And he would have said, yep, yeah, okay, yeah, great, because he didn't know about that picture until it came out the day before. And he would have just agreed with it, and then you just put your hands behind your back. You could have almost arrested him on the 18th of February back then, because guess what? He basically admitted that, right? Because in one of the interviews he said, well, if the girl took that picture, that's not me, which means that, well, it's me, but I can't say it was me. I can't say it's me because the girl took the picture, I mean, he was basically, don't you take it that way if he says, when you heard that, when he said, that's not me. If that girl took the picture, it's not me.
I figure out what the hell he's trying to convey right there.
Yeah, well, he's saying when he looks at it, he goes, shit, that is me. But, if that girl took it, it's not,
Yeah.
that's what he's doing. And that's what somebody would do who didn't have a prepared answer for something and got sort of basically, sort of stunned. Well, I guess all those years later, he should have had an answer. It's kind of odd that he didn't have one. What do you make of the Holman thing where he said, it doesn't matter, it's over, when he said that you could sign this document to...
So for people who don't know, so his house was raided on October 13th, and Holman was I guess Rick's wife left, so Rick sat in the car with Holman. And Holman said, if we do any damage to your property, there's a form you can fill out to get reimbursement. And Rick said something like, what was it? It doesn't matter, it's over?
Yeah.
Well, Rick said he's so concerned that his neighbors and coworkers and whatever would know that he was being looked at as bridge guy, and he said it's over, which...
That's what he gave to the answer when he was asked by Holman and on the 26th, right? Interrogation, he gave that answer as why he answered that way, right? Because I think when Holman interviewed him on the 26th, because he sat in the car with him on the 13th, then on the 26th, in the interrogation, he goes, why did you say that? And then he goes, well, because, what was the answer? It was because, oh yeah, like you just said, that people would accuse him. But how would people, neighbors and so forth, would think he was being investigated? But on the 13th, would he really think that all of his neighbors would think he's being investigated for the Delphi?
I don't know. It really didn't even leak. None of us knew until the 28th, as far as I know. I mean, some people may have heard about it.
Yeah, and even if you saw cops at a house, you're not going to go, ooh, they're investigating him for the Delphi murders. It's like nobody. So that, to me, I think, was him just going, oh, shit, I'm screwed. So you wonder what, I was thinking they must have found something else in that house that was incredibly damning. But, really, it was just the gun.
They didn't even present the blue jacket.
Yeah.
They took photos of it, and I was writing down in my notes, and there was like a rectangular logo that was here. It was not the similar Carhartt square logo. So obviously, if he was wearing like a windbreaker, he must have thrown it out or something, but they never really presented anything other than the gun to really connect him to the crime scene or the murders.
Yeah, I think they should have there's a couple things they should have done, like just say, he has similar jackets to that, but it doesn't really matter. Like, it makes more sense that you would have thrown away the jacket and jeans and everything somewhere, I guess he could have just washed it. And okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
No, I was going to stay there. No, just stay on this topic, because mine was totally off that.
The October 13th and 26th interrogations, watching them in the courtroom, I thought this man is coming across as innocent and not guilty based on his demeanor and his comments, at least up until the point where Rick's wife comes in and then she says, were you on the bridge? And then he's like trying to be like lovey-dovey with her, saying, you know me. That's the point where it kind of maybe questioned. And even on October 13th, he ends by saying to Mullen something like, am I free to go? Mullen says yes. And he says, thank you, you're an a-hole, and walks out. And people in the courtroom laughed when he said that.
Yeah. Was that sort of like on his side kind of thing? Or what was the laugh about? Just because it was funny?
Said,
or
thank you, a-hole, or something like that? Like,
yeah.
Weren't really expecting that.
But like, I think does that mean, did you feel like that was more supportive of him on the laugh, or just in general it was just funny?
I think it was just it was unexpected that he was going to say that, and people just were like, "That was kind of interesting." That he just
does it look weird when he's doing it? Because I'd love to just see him speak, you know, like an animated image of him actually talking. You've seen it, so what was that like when?
Well, so the camera is in like the top left, and you can see like it's a fairly small room. Mullen and Liggett are at a desk here. Liggett left for a fair amount of it. Rick is on the other side. There's, I guess, 2 chairs, and Rick is on the right side. And he seriously just came across as seeming to be innocent and not really concerned that he's finally found out after 5.5 years. That's just my honest opinion. But like I said, his voice did match Bridge Guy's.
Yeah, I heard that interview, even over the 26th, you could tell his voice sounded more similar. Like the 26th was more intense, you know, something like that.
I felt like the 13th, it sounded more like Bridge Guy's. The 26th, I did not feel like it was as prominent.
Exactly. That's what Susan Hendricks said. That the 13th was really, you could just, oh, wow, that's Bridge Guy, you know. And I guess on the 26th, they were arguing more. So it was kind of, sounded different.
All right, we have a guest who doesn't want to be on camera, but I know they're screening him, and hopefully they're not a troll. So, Necessary Evil, I'm bringing you on.
Oh, boy.
Hi there. Can you hear us? Necessary Evil.
How could that not be a troll? Are you kidding me?
No, I know that.
No, I'm just kidding.
But we can't hear you, Necessary Evil. What do you want to talk about? All right, that's not working. We're removing you.
I was going to say, what did you think of the portion? Let's see, what was it? The timing of the medical examiner, because it bothered me when he said that, oh wow, I was just sitting around and I came up with that it was a box cutter. You know, I was in my garage and I was thinking thinking about the wounds. I could never really figure it out, and then I was in my garage and I thought, ooh, a box cutter, and then lo and behold, it matches the confession, but the confession was before he did that. So I think a better way should have been where he just went, you know what, I could never figure out what caused those wounds. It was just really odd. And then the investigators told me that he mentioned using a box cutter, and then I went and did experiments, and man, he answered that question. Wouldn't that have been a better way to do it? Because the way they did it, it seems like, oh, you're just making it fit, you know, after the fact.
I agree. It did seem kind of weird that that was even brought up, that he was like in his garage and I guess saw the handle of a box cutter had certain features that would match up to this case that I thought he said in the courtroom he had done 7,700 autopsies in his career, but I read online he did almost 77,000, which I don't know if that even adds up that somebody could do that.
Yeah, that would be like, man, how many a day would that be? That'd be like 10 or something, you know?
I guess maybe he's never seen a crime committed by a box cutter before, or at least a murder. Obviously, he's only doing autopsies of people who are dead. All right, Necessary Evil, here comes the second time. Can you hear us? Yes, hi. What do you want to talk about?
How you doing, Tom?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hoping the audio sounds a little whacked or whatever, but I'm hoping it works out.
There's kind of echo, so I'm not sure we can hear you very well. What topic do you want to talk about?
1 second.
Can you get closer to the mic? Now we can't hear you at all. We can't hear you, so I have to remove you. Sorry. Maybe try the third time.
That was weird. So I was picturing like in a dark basement trying to find the mic inside of a. It just sounded like.
Isle of Shoals. Did Bridge Guy have a fanny pack on, or was it a sweatshirt sticking out? So Sarah Carbois said she thought it was like a brown shirt or sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's what I think. And you can see in one of his steps, it flattens completely out on his pant leg. So there's no way.
The problem is, like with this whole video, every frame changes, and even the guy from Indiana State Police said there were only 3 frames, like in the 300s, that from the entire video, like 343 and 370 and something, that they were able to enhance to try and see Bridge Guy as best as possible to release to the public. But obviously, no, as somebody said before, nobody saw that and said it was Richard Allen, which is odd to me.
Yeah. But if you look, what's interesting? If you go back and just look what I have all these pictures from back in 2016 and 17 of him, and he looks like a totally normal guy, stocky, just like the Bridge Guy is. Goatee, looked normal, didn't look like he withered away into. I always look at it like I always do the Lord of the Rings, with Smeagol and Gollum, like Smeagol withers away and turns into Gollum. I feel like that's kind of what happened with him. The murders were the ring to him. And he just sort of withered away. He had 5 years of freedom that he shouldn't have had.
Well, he definitely gained weight over the years. I mean, he kind of, I don't want to say blew up, but...
Yeah, well, he looked totally like he just gave up on himself. Like there's one, he looks so different in just multiple different shots. I wonder if that was intentional.
Do you find it odd that there was no DNA from Abby and Libby found anywhere in his car? I mean, if he's sitting in the driver's seat, there would not be blood on his butt and the back of his legs, I would assume, or the back of his jacket.
Yeah, it could just be that, like, when he went to his car, he sees it, so he just takes that off. Maybe he had a bag or something he could put it in and minimize that, and then maybe wash the car a little bit, and then 5 years later, I'm not sure what would still be sitting in there after 5 years. I know they can find stuff, but...
Do you believe his confession that he did use the box cutter from CVS and then threw it in the dumpster?
It does seem kind of legit because it's kind of random. I think the pathologist should have just went with that and said, wow, he gave me the missing piece of the puzzle, which he did throughout the entire case. He answered all the questions. He answered who was the driver of the vehicle that was parked at the abandoned CPS building, who was the person that the four girls saw, who's the person that Betsy Blair saw, who's the person in the video, who's the person that left the bullet at the crime scene, who's the person that, it's just goes on and on and on. So then you could say even answered that one. What weapon was used?
Fig, if you want to join.
Yeah, come on, Fig. Fig solves. Yeah.
Looking for different topics. You can leave if you want. You can stay if you want also.
Yeah, I don't need to be on here. I was just, if you want to keep hanging out and talking, that's great. I don't generally do the panels on like my show or whatever when there's 9 people up there and people are sewing up in that corner. Someone's doing the Rubik's Cube up in the upper left. But, but anyways, I appreciate you letting me come on and chatting for a little bit.
For clearing up a few things. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Chat. Yeah, well, none of that stuff is... and by the way, you got like a troll in your actual chat that they stalk my channel. YouTube bad actors. All they do, I'm the only bad actor on YouTube, and they go after me every 5 seconds. It's crazy. Anyway.
YouTube bad actors. Be nice.
Well, they're ridiculous people. All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining. I appreciate you sharing your perspective.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you. See ya. All right, you guys, we're at 2 hours and 8 minutes. Like I said, I'll go a little bit longer than normal. Let me look for some topics we haven't discussed. As always, please be polite to each other in the chat. Charles says, that scene was committed by a single unsub unless his partners did nothing to help. Yeah, just the whole Odinist thing, it does not really add up to me. Some of those people were suspicious. However, they were not really placed at that crime scene wanting to kill these 2 kids. Oh, for friend's sake. Hi, troublemaker Baker. People are seriously questioning whether the girls were there. Betsy Blair saw 2 girls walking and chatting quietly. Later, when she looked at their photos, she knew it was Abby and Libby. Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. They were there. There is obviously this, the photo of Abby on the bridge was not on Libby's phone. but a lot of the other photos were. How that happened, I don't know. I don't think there was any like conspiracy by the family to kill these kids, and it just does not add up to me. Blue and Sadie's mom, thank you for becoming a member. Maybe I'll see you on Thanksgiving for my members only chat where I cook, or not cook, I just assemble a variety of food. Gadget Ball, thank you. Frank's memo was a Hail Mary, not a Hail Odin. I think I actually said that in my 7-hour video. Ay, ay, ay. Just looking for some different topics. Dream Suburb, hello. Why was Kelsey German's hair found in poor Abby's hand? So it seems like Libby had this Delphi swimming sweatshirt that was new, and Kelsey on the stand said maybe it was washed in their washing machine. Kelsey at some point a long time ago said that she would keep jackets and sweatshirts in the back of her car for future use, like what happened on the day of the murders. They were going to the trail and wanted to, I guess the grandmother, Becky, said, I want you to wear a jacket. So I'm not sure exactly that this was revealed or not. Did Libby like just grab this sweatshirt from the back of Kelsey's car that had been washed, and one of Kelsey's hairs from their washing machine got into the sweatshirt? I did not look at the crime scene photo, so I'm not sure exactly what this hair was, like the position in Abby's hand or around her finger. I don't think Kelsey was involved in killing Abby, but obviously it is kind of odd. Support with Stefa. I hope Doug Carter has a press conference and tells us the story that he promised. Send him a letter. Yeah, Doug Carter is retiring. I'll see you all at the retirement party. Criminality says rules of completeness. Since the other calls were played in their entirety, there was no legal objection that benefited the other call being played. Yes, that's true. Thank you for reminding me. So why Judge Gull said, since calls 2 and 3 to Rick's wife and mom were played from start to finish, we even heard, like, I think we heard Rick dialing. It has this auto attendance thing saying a call is coming from Indiana Department of Corrections. We heard it through the end. So that's why, however, I do think the jury should have heard, and I wanted to hear, how did he sound at like maybe 5:40 a.m. or 5:15 a.m.? Why was Rick up that early? It's been said that he would make phone calls at odd hours. So was his lack of sleep contributing to him making these comments? As I've said, listening to the phone calls, he did not, even though he said, I'm tired or I need sleep, and I think I'm going crazy, he did not sound crazy to me. I hope you all get a chance to hear what we heard. Dream Suburb. Does anyone actually care about the real justice in this case? Yes, we do. Why people want just Richard Allen to be guilty while the real killers are still out there free as a bird? How do you answer this timeline of Richard Allen 3 days after the murder saying, I was there 1 to 3. 2 days later, February 18th, 5 days after the murders, he said, I was there 1:30 to 3:30. So twice in 5 days, he said, I was there for 2 hours. At the time of the murders at 2:13, or at the kidnapping, I was there. He said he only saw 3 girls in 2 hours. There were other people there. Nobody saw him. Like, the timeline doesn't add up. How do you like not acknowledge that? Or what's your answer for how does Richard Allen not see all these people in 2 hours? Why does he change his timeline 5 years later? Why is his car seen headed towards CPS at 1:30 and not away? Jennifer, thank you for making me smile. Hi, Cindy. I imagine he called family when the least amount of people were trying to call too. Yeah. I was very disappointed that the prosecution did not sync up these phone calls with Rick's cell was under surveillance for every minute and every second of every day. Why not show how Rick is acting before he picks up this tablet to say, I killed these girls? Why not keep it showing it after he hangs up the phone or his wife hangs up on him? Is he frustrated that his wife and mom said, stop talking? I think that was a mistake by the prosecution, although they won the case essentially. I just think the jury should have seen that stuff too. Did he like throw his tablet on the floor and break it after his wife said, I don't believe you? It was also said that Rick was dancing around naked, singing God Bless America. So I'm not sure if he was wearing clothes when he made those phone calls. Harlow says Dan Doolin should get the biggest idiot citizen of the year. I think you're saying Dan Doolin. Dan Doolin was not the one who said his last name is Whiteman. It seems like somebody else. So Doolin met Rick at this grocery store. I'm almost certain he said he was in his car. Doolin was, and he has a computer in his car. And he typed up what he just was told by Rick on February 18th, and then he submitted it. Somebody else said Rick was cleared, but it was never revealed who that person was. Hi, Jill. In 2017, JC's bar, which is a Delphi bar, pool hall video, a certain time period, Rick is in a black t-shirt and jeans, walking towards pool hall and corner, hands in jeans pockets, walks like bridge guy. I have seen that. I'm not sure that I say exactly it means he's bridge guy. The bridge guy video is only like 2 seconds long and walking on a bridge. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I'm not going to say that that would have been evidence that the jury should have seen. Hi, Ann. In my opinion, he did it. Jury verdict was just, and him in jail will be just, or prison. Should have happened 6 years ago, in my opinion. Yeah, it should have happened a long time ago. Hello, Real Plant Diaries. People with longer hair know that hair gets caught so easily in clothing. Well, it was interesting that there was some kind of testing done to show that it was probably from Libby's family, but I think the defense tried to say Libby's sister, mom, and grandmother never gave their DNA. However, I believe they said they did. But then Kelsey, I guess, said she gave it again within a few days of the trial. So if they already have her DNA, why do they have to collect it again? Thank you, Gadget Ball. Crime QAnon, ignore the 3 elephants in the room. Who are the 3 elephants in the room? Me, Gray Hughes, and somebody else? Oops. Thank you, YouTube bad actors. Be nice to Gray Hughes. He was nice on my live chat. Ann says there was a boatload of circumstantial evidence, him at the scene, lying about the time he was there, confessing details that law enforcement didn't know yet, that Brad Weber drove a van home that day. The spent bullet equals totality of evidence greater than doubt. Yes, I would have, like I said, at the start of the trial, I would have voted not guilty. By the end, I would have voted guilty. Red Plant Diaries, yes, that sweatshirt was they were driven to the trails in Kelsey's car. Karen with a good point. Have you all thumbs up for Tom's green sweater? I had a change from my member chat. Gadget Ball, thank you for your continued generosity. 1 bridge guy, 2 bullet, 3 brutal murder. Yeah, so McClellan started his opening statement said, this trial is about, what was it about? Abby Libby, bridge guy, and a bullet. I think Rick's timeline doesn't add up, and he is guilty even without this bullet matching his gun. I agree that science, that quote unquote science matching an unspent round to a specific gun, it's not 100%. So I don't know how reliable it is. However, October 13th, a search of Rick's house, the brand of round in his, like the magazine, it's like you put a bunch of rounds or bullets in a magazine and you like put it all up inside the gun. So the brand of those at his house in the magazine were Blazer. In a keepsake box next to his bed was a Winchester round. The round at the crime scene, like a few inches from Libby's foot, was a Winchester brand. Did law enforcement ever ask him, why did you keep that Winchester round next to your bed? Did his wife know why he had that there? People are saying, hi, Mustang. The trolls are like flies today. I'm not really seeing anything, so sorry that moderators are having to moderate. Hi, Gendromeda. Do you think Richard Allen could be linked to any other child murders in neighboring states or Indiana? The two that I see people talk about online are Jordan Sofer, who I think was maybe in May 2016, almost certain, she went missing. And she was found, she was a teenager. She was, I guess, last seen leaving her home during the day. She was found, unfortunately, murdered, but her body was decomposed, so they couldn't figure out how she was killed, or if it was, I don't know if they knew it was a homicide or not. She was found by somebody who was mushroom hunting near Peru, Indiana. Richard Allen lived in Peru until he moved in December of 2006. I don't know if I said 2016 or not. She was killed in 2006. Rick moved from that area in December of 2006. I'm in no way saying that I think he's involved. That's just something people say online. And also the Evansdale murders, 2 cousins who were like 10 to 12 age range. Evansdale, Iowa. People say Rick, I've seen people online say that Rick worked at Walmart somewhat near Evansdale. I don't know. Obviously, they've had his DNA for a long time, 2 years at this point. Never matched up to any other crime scene. So I guess you could say also for Delphi, his DNA did not match the crime scene, and he's convicted of that. I don't know. I would say no. I would guess that like this is some kind of like sexual fantasy he had walking these trails for years. He lived in Delphi for 11 years at the time of the murders. I guess he said he went home and drank 3 beers. His wife was at work. Did he get some kind of urge to go to the trail? And it would have been nice if people or police had investigated him properly to see when he got home after visiting his mom's that day, was he on the internet looking at certain adult videos and drinking beers? And like I said, he got an urge to actually do something in person to females on the trail. Unfortunately, we'll never know that. Police did take a bunch of his devices, but the only thing that it really showed was searches for like horrible things on Netflix and also something about the Delphi murders, but it wasn't really specifically revealed. Sorry, I'm confused, which is nothing new. TJ, thanks for all your hard work. You have a gift. I don't really like to say compliments, but thank you for your generosity and your kind words. I'm going to go back to what I was just rambling about, his internet searches. Please stand by as I try and find it. I'm going to show my PowerPoint. If you didn't know, during this case, I've made over 1,000 PowerPoint slides. Like, what is my life? Okay, here we go. We can take me off. Let me just do this real quick. So, November 7th of the trial, McClelland said Rick searched, "Should I die now?" quote unquote, after looking at Delphi News in April 2022. I wrote here, the news had 3 references to when Rick made Google searches. So 3 different news websites. One said he made the searches April 2022. Another said 2 months after the murders, which would have been April 2017. And Hidden True Crime, who had been in the courtroom, said from April 17th of that year. So I don't know which year she was referencing. So these searches, apparently on Rick's Gmail, when he was logged into Gmail, Delphi, Indiana News, "Should I die now? Die now. Should I die now? Should I die now?" Like, why are you asking Google to answer that question for you? Obviously, something was wrong. Indiana State Police testing, that's not that. There was some other thing. Let me look about Netflix. I'll do this real quick and then I'll get back to your comments. Okay, here we go. Let me just bring this up. Rick's devices, Google searches. This said October 2022. So October 13th, 2022, their house was raided, obviously. So October 2022, search for a movie about a man being held against his will. Rick or someone using his devices searched Stalker 2012, Killer of a Sacred Deer. I think it's a movie and the actual spelling is DEER. Man held hostage by teen. Applied ballistics in Lafayette, Indiana. It said multiple searches for Delphi. Well, can you specify what each one was about? Someone using the device also searched several times for Delphi murders. Well, exactly when and specifically they didn't reveal. Monon High Bridge Stories, Wildcat Valley Rifle Club, Should I Die Now? Most disturbing movie ever, horrifying things I can watch, insidious things I can watch. The definition of insidious is sneaky, treacherous, or harmful in a subtle way. What is the darkest stuff on Netflix? Most blanked up things to watch on Netflix. Almost done. Disturbing and terrifying things on Netflix. And finally, Delphi murder update from 2022. So, does this point to Richard Allen being guilty? No. Also, could his wife have been the one to search Delphi murders update? I don't think it's guilty or suspicious if your house is raided in relation to the Delphi murders and you, after the police leave, you search, like, what the hell is going on with this case? I don't think that's suspicious at all. However, who was doing those searches? And I'd like to know more about the Delphi murder searches and when. Brian, thank you for your nice comment and your British pounds. Thank you. Who's going to miss my annoying laugh and my voice putting you to sleep? We're at 2 hours and 28 minutes. I might go to 3 hours and then I'm done with you people. So yeah, if you're just joining, I'm doing a final Delphi video. Why am I sighing? I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm doing an entire summary of the entire case and of all the witness testimony of the trial. It's really not for all of you who know a lot about this case. Maybe you'd want to watch like the summary of all the testimony. I'm currently on page 77 of my notes, which I took 239 pages of notes. I've been working on it for over a week. It's going to take me another week to finish it. So that will probably be my last Delphi video. Let's move on. Hi, Big Fish, Small Pond. Do they print that out and then that was found in a file? I forget what Doolin said. He may have typed that up and gone to print it out. Kathy Shank was the one who was like looking at this old like box or in the drawer, and she found a piece of paper, and she saw that it said this man, Richard Allen Whiteman, was on the trail 1:30 to 3:30. She found the Doolin tip, and she knew that 3 girls saw Bridge Guy. So on September 21st, 2022 is when she found that, and then she brought it to Liggett, and then they started looking into Rick, and they felt like they needed to raid his house. Mustang, I think the phone fell out of Libby's pants pocket when she / Richard Allen put them on her. It was referenced by the autopsy, the forensic pathologist, that there were not really like blood smears on Abby's body to show that the clothes were put on her body after she was wounded. I guess some people think maybe she was brought to the creek and washed off, but I don't know, like, what's the point of that? I do find it odd that the phone was on the ground, then the shoe, then Abby's body, and she had no like blood on her hands. Like, how was she killed? Like Gray said, I guess she was like this. I have questions about how it all played out, but as I said, I have questions about Richard Allen's timeline not adding up. Sparky, thank you for everybody for being a moderator. I'm sorry, like people are being annoying. If they're being annoying, just click their name and click hide from channel. I want people with a variety of opinions to voice their opinions and for me to highlight them in the comments, but if you're being rude, bye-bye. Hi, Sally. Timeline with no time of death. Yeah, some people seem to argue this point, which I'm not saying that it's not important. We know that this video is at 2:13 p.m. According to Libby's phone data, the phone stops moving at 2:32 p.m. We hear this man say, guys, go down the hill. And these kids are found murdered the next day. I don't know that a time of death is needed to convict Richard Allen. Obviously, it was not. If you want to follow up with more perspective on that, write another comment and I'll highlight it if I see it. Brian says the Libby's phone was found under a shoe and under her leg, and yet somehow someone plugged in earphones. Eye roll emoji. I agree. And the defense expert said the headphones were plugged in like a millisecond before the phone rang at 5:44 or 5:45. And they were taken out like 5 hours later at 10:32 p.m. I might be getting these times wrong. So for 5 hours, the person plug it in and then left, and then they came back when there were people searching, or they stood there for 5 hours unseen. Like Brian said, eye roll. Yeah, I didn't really buy that. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for thanking me. Hi, Kim. If Richard Allen's confession to Dr. Waller was true, sorry, I'm like interpreting your comment. If he was scared from seeing a van, he did not say white. That was that's a rumor. He said a van. Let me start over. If he was scared from seeing a van, why would he then take them down a hill, cross the road through a 3.5-foot ice cold creek, up another hill, kill them, pose them, lay sticks, then hang around for 1 hour? You make some good points there. So what we know is that one man is walking across the bridge. In my opinion, Libby was scared because I think they passed him earlier. She was scared, and she's like, I need to start video recording on my phone in case something bad happens. Obviously, something bad happened. He tells them to go down the hill. Her video ends at that point. So what happened after that, we don't know. I think a lot of us have wondered why was Libby totally naked and Abby wearing Libby's clothes? So they get down to the bottom of the hill. Does he point the gun at them and say, take off your clothes? I have a sexual motive. They spend a few minutes removing their clothes. I don't know if he has them do stuff to each other or what's going on. A van comes, and what's his option to get out of that situation? I don't know if he had a hood on at that point. It does not seem like Bridge Guy had a scarf up to his nose. So was he concerned that these two girls would walk into the CVS in this small town in the future and identify him as being the guy who at least kidnapped them and told them to take their clothes off up to that point? So if he sees his car going to this house at the end, they can't stay there. So he's like, let's go over across the creek. That's like the only other option that I can think of. So with her phone stopping at 2:32, obviously, yes, for another hour and a half, he's not seen until Sarah Carboy at almost 4 p.m. I mean, I do have some questions about it, but I don't know that it really takes away from my suspicions that Richard Allen was Bridge Guy and the killer. I'm just looking to see if I can ramble any more about your comment. I just don't think that he could have let these two girls live, or else he was going to be arrested and it would ruin his entire life. So that's why he felt like he had to kill them, which makes no sense to me. It's like, you want to assault these two kids, and then you see a van and you're like, oh, I have to kill them now because they're going to get me in trouble for doing this to them. Ay, ay, ay. Big solves. The bullet is physical evidence. The confession is direct evidence. Yes, there was a lot of circumstantial evidence, and also DNA is also circumstantial evidence. I thought it was interesting that there was no like fingerprints found on the unspent round at the crime scene. So if Richard Allen put that round in his gun years prior, why was his fingerprint not found on it? For people who don't know, it was kind of like into the ground. So I think the killer, or Richard Allen, stepped on it at some point walking around Libby's body. How it popped out at that point, I don't know if it came out of his pocket or something, or if he's like pulling the top back to intimidate them at some point at the crime scene. But apparently, I guess it's not a good surface to get DNA, especially after it's pushed into the dirt at the crime scene. Hi, Kim. No problem. I appreciate you sharing your questions and concerns about how this all played out. I have some concerns also. Yeah, but also, hi, Sparky. Said to Kim, he was already down the hill, which is below the private drive. Yeah, so do I have this here? There's a fairly large drop off from the private drive down to the creek level. I don't think I can find it to show you guys, but it is far enough down that Brad Weber driving down his driveway would not see them, but at some point they could see him driving to his house. Sienna, thank you for sticking around, and thank you for my moderators. I'm sorry that people are annoying. Sally, I agree. You're not trolls for saying other, like you have questions. I'm just hoping that you're polite in presenting what you think does not add up. I'm just looking for some topics we have not discussed yet. And thank you for your year's worth of intelligent comments. And says Richard Allen demonstrated himself to be highly unstable, petulant, and impulsive while in, not jail, prison. To me, he proved he could do something impulsive and unstable and horrible if he was in the mood and felt like it. I mean, either way, he was doing some crazy things in prison, whether they were induced by being in solitary confinement, changing his normal mental health medication, or getting this Haldol that maybe made him act even crazier, remains to be seen. However, the defense in their April 5th, 2023, oh my gosh, at what point in my life are these facts going to leave my brain? So April 5th, 2023, the defense filed an emergency motion to modify the safekeeping order, which was a day after Rick, I guess, started calling his wife and mom saying, I did it. In that, the defense said they met with Rick March 24th, 2023. He had been in Westville in solitary confinement for almost 5 months at that point. And they said he was acting normal on March 24th. It wasn't until April 3rd or 4th when they met him that he was acting psychotic. So why was Rick okay for in Westville in solitary confinement for the first 4 months? And then he somehow randomly lost his mind and started confessing. Like, why was the defense okay with him staying in those conditions? And why was he okay in those conditions for the first 5 months? Until they had to explain away why he was calling his wife and mom saying, I am guilty of this crime. I don't know. And also, I love how I just like think of other stuff. I totally agree that I don't think Judge Diener should have even had this or granted this emergency motion to, or no, the safekeeping order in like November 3rd of 2022 when Rick did not even have an attorney. Judge Diener should have said, no, hold your horses, Tobe Lesenby. You can keep him in Carroll County Jail until he has an attorney to represent him to see if he should be sent to another location. Because Lesenby said Carroll County could not secure him. However, Bold and Rosie were assigned around November 14th, 2022. So in those 4 months, why did they not file anything to get Rick out of Westville? I do know that at one point, Rosie said, I was talking to the Cass County Sheriff to see if he had room for Rick in February 2023. However, he didn't file anything officially until April, a day after Rick started confessing. I don't know. It's just something that I find suspicious that if it's so horrible at Westville, why was he okay and acting normal up until March 24th, 2023? Hi, hippie. Weren't you used to be hippie chick? Fig solves. Yeah, I bet Rick tossed his 2017 computer like he did his phone to help hide the stuff he searched up. Yeah, I would like to know. I mean, they took hard drives. How far back did those go? Also, why did police not do anything to figure out, as Greg Hughes said before, they don't need his physical phone to figure out from his phone provider, Ting, Ting, like what his phone was up to on the day of the murders. Also, at what point did he upgrade that phone and get rid of it? The police did nothing to figure that out. Shocker. Sienna, I totally disagree with you, but thank you. Hi, Sunday Soapbox. Do you think Mrs. Shaquille O'Neal will get the money, the reward money? Kathy Shank. So I guess the reward is up to, for years, it's been up to $350,000 or so. I think because I don't know if she was officially a volunteer or was she on the payroll of Carroll County Sheriff. She started out as a volunteer. I don't know if she became an employee. I saw her walking around the courthouse when I was there for the trial, and I saw her. I called her Shankmeister in my live chats. I was like, should I tell her that? And I was like, no, don't say that. I just smiled at her when I passed her and I said, great job. And she smiled back at me and said, thank you. Anyway, she's like, who's that freak? I don't know that I mean, she seems to have solved the case, or at least got it to a point where they looked into Rick like they should have done a long time ago. I highly doubt she'll get it. I think she should get some kind of reward. I actually thought about maybe doing a GoFundMe to send her on a vacation, but I'm not going to get involved with that. She can go on vacation with me. I have nobody to go on vacation with. Thank you, YouTube bad actors. Bye Bye Birdie. My 8th grade play was Guys and Dolls. My sister did Bye Bye Birdie, but I don't remember that song. Norwegian there. The Shankmeister deserves the reward money. All right, Norwegian said it. Let it be done. So what's going to happen with that $350,000? That's a good point. I'm going to have a live chat about the reward money. Hi, Harlow. Maybe Rick was asking Siri. Whenever I say that, she answers, but she didn't. She's sleeping right now. Ah. Hey, Siri. Oh, it's on mute. All right, anyway. But there's nothing playing. All right, go to sleep. Amy Gordon loves every time I say bye. All right, thank you. Fix solves. Google should have told him yes. Fix solves. You're a troublemaker. You're a YouTube bad actor. Thank you, Sub Rosa. Yeah, I just don't understand, like, why would somebody Google that question and expect, like, a response? Should I even Google it right now? Let me Google that. Hopefully my search history never gets revealed. Help is available. Suicide and crisis lifeline, which is good. Yeah, if you're ever thinking about suicide, Google Should I Die Now and call this phone number. 988 is the suicide and crisis lifeline. Life gets better. Don't give up. Fig says, for all the people who said innocent until proven guilty as a claim to Rick being innocent, what do they say now? They say he's innocent and was falsely convicted. I'm not saying this one. Gadget Ball. So yeah, Rick's email was like Foodjack, or not Food, Gadget Ball said, Foodjack AO was Rick's Google account name. Foodjack is the foot fetish slang for, I don't know if I want to say that out loud. You can read it online. Really? I didn't know that. Apparently, I'm not into that. That's interesting. Yeah, like, did he not have another email address that was like more professional that said Richard Allen? Okay, we'll move on with our lives. Are we done yet? We're at 2 hours and 48 minutes. I'll go like maybe 20 more minutes. Brian and other people are in the UK. They need to go to sleep. The people from Hungary already went to sleep. Brian says, they say innocent until there's a verdict. I agree with. Eye roll. Brian loves the eye roll emoji. Gadget Ball, quote, I, Eric Warren, in all my unaccredited glory, do not trust the accredited experts process. That's a reference to Melissa Oberg. We'll, I guess, find out, is McClelland filing for Warren's testimony from the trial to say that he was wrong? I'm not sure why. Yeah, I have an online store that nobody buys anything from because the prices are too much and they're stupid merchandise. But I do have one that says something like, it has a finger pointing up. Please stand by. What are we doing here? I just want to see this. I can't find it. Why is that not there? Anyway, it's like a finger pointing up saying very suspicious internet history. Nobody has bought it yet, but I think it applies to a lot of us. Purple Amaryllis, yeah. Hope police never check my Google searches, especially near Halloween. What's going on at Halloween? ED, with this case coming to an end, what will you always remember about Abby and Libby? It's just so sad to me that their lives were ended because this man on the bridge had some kind of fantasy. And he killed them just to keep them quiet from him getting in trouble for doing something he should not have been doing in the first place. It's just like such a waste. I mean, we've all seen the drama with this case, which a lot of it should have never happened if police did their job correctly and followed up on Rick within the first week or so. It's just sadness that this had to happen to them because of this man's fantasy. It's stupid. Hi, Malibu. I am so relieved that we have a verdict. We talked ourselves silly with no evidence for years. I agree with that. I think some of us have come to a conclusion that Richard Allen was Bridge Guy. Other people seem to not agree with that, and that's okay. I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. But 12 people from Allen County who were not really familiar with the case saw the evidence and said, I believe he's guilty. Some people are saying, including maybe the defense and appeals attorneys, appellate attorneys, are saying, well, the jury was not given enough facts from the defense side because they were like prevented from presenting the Otis, Ron Logan, and Kegan Kline, which to me, there's no proof that any of those people were the killer. Fig says, what do you think Richard Allen thought they would find in his house and car after the October 13th search? Something made him say it's over, but I don't think he knew law enforcement had the cartridge, so not the gun. Maybe nothing even. Maybe he thought he got rid of everything, but if he knew he was the killer, he knew that they were looking into everything. He knew that he, I guess, got rid of that 2017 phone, which to me is, it doesn't mean he's guilty, but it means it's suspicious since he had so many other phones there. I'm not sure what to think. I could also see an innocent person who cares about, like Rick said, I care what people think about me. And the neighbors like see all these cops out front, and maybe he thinks like, I can't live in this small town anymore. Like it's 3,000 people. He works at CVS. If people find out that police were searching his house related to the Delphi murders, I agree with him. Like at least his life in Delphi is over. So I don't know that it necessarily meant like he was guilty and afraid like he was finally caught. You two bad actors. What about the sentencing? There can be more live chats. You'll find out from other people about the sentencing. I'll do a community post about it, but just saying how many years he got and if he truly did speak up and say, I'm innocent or I'm guilty. Anne says, horrible to think about his brazenness. He gets home within one day, there's a video. He full well knows it's him plastered all over the news, but then he just hunkers down for 7 years and comfortably lives his life. 5.5 years. I would want to know if I ever got a chance to ask him questions, I'd want to know, like, what were you thinking day after day when you go to work at CVS and you're a sketch is on the wall where you work, obviously it's not obvious that that sketch matches Richard Allen, but I'm almost certain they did have also the bridge guy photo all around town. Like, what was he thinking day after day, wondering, is today the day police are going to come arrest me? I'll do 10 more minutes. We're at 2 hours and 55 minutes. As always, seriously, thank you everybody for sharing your thoughts with me in these live chats and in the comments under my videos. Over the years, I appreciated even hearing alternate theories. Jamie says, those Google searches are scary. Why do I reenact the emojis? Goran is still up in, do I remember where you are? Croatia. Thank you for staying up late. There are movies about the Holocaust with a similar name. All right, thank you for providing clarification. I don't know that any of those searches were like, oh, he's definitely guilty. If he had been to Reddit like twice a week for 5 years, then I would think that was guilty. Anybody who goes to Reddit twice a week for 5 years is guilty of something. Gadget Ball, clothes change happened on the south side of the creek, which is the down the hill bridge side. So this popped into my mind before, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. So we saw some of the clothing in the creek, which were new to me, that even some of the stuff was even found in the creek. So Libby's tie-dye shirt was inside out. Abby's jeans were inside out. So it seems, excuse me. So it seems like he did have them get undressed on this, like Gadget Ball said, on the south side of the creek. And I guess it was fast. And I think Abby's jeans were kind of like skinny jeans. So I guess they became inside out. And I only remember vaguely this photo from the creek of Abby's jeans. This might be wrong when it comes out. So it's like her jeans are, I don't know if they're like held up or it's just like a full shot of the jeans. And I think it was on the left side, maybe above the knee, is like pink underwear that's kind of like balled up. So I don't know how this all played out, but was that a factor in Abby putting on Libby's jeans? Is because Abby's jeans were inside out. So I just want to bring that up since that's something that a lot of people wonder about, but I don't know that all of you know. Abby's jeans were found inside out with her underwear, I'm almost certain, like tied around one of the legs above the knee. How that contributed to Abby being found in Libby's jeans and sweatshirt, I don't know. Hi, Kathy. I would like to know this also. Maybe you can do some research and get back to me. When will transcripts and everything else get released? I'm hoping it's after sentencing and not after all these appeals take a few years. If there is an appeal. Annie, thank you. I appreciate all your nice comments and for being a member for so long and listening to me while you work. Mustang says, I'll never listen to the song with the lyric, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys ever again. Apparently, that was one of the songs Rick liked to sing in prison. Fig Sol says, Gray Hughes texted and said he's been blocked from Tom's channel. Which mod blocked him? Moderators, are you behaving? I did not do it. If you get banned, it's a moderator, not me. I'm busy. Hi, Purdue. Just want to say hi to you again. Hi, Winston. I like saying hi to people's dogs to see if they... I'm the only person who can unblock. I doubt Greg Hughes will come back to my channel, so I don't know that I need to unblock him. Oh, Frankie said they did? We have like 7 more minutes and then we're all dismissed. Looking for a few final comments. Cindy, I think once the gag order and sentencing are done, we are going to hear a lot from people who know him. Well, it's going to be interesting to see like what kind of TV episodes come out after this. Who's going to talk in law enforcement, in the community? Richard Allen, his mom, his wife, his daughter. Stay tuned, I guess. Jamie says iPhones are notorious for doing weird stuff when exposed to moisture or water. Yeah, I just didn't really believe the headphones conspiracy that was presented. No problem, Kim. Yeah, so people are saying like Rick said he saw a white van. Just to clarify, Brian Harshman on the stand, who's the investigator who listened to all of Rick's phone calls, said Rick never said white van. Brad Weber's van was white. Rick never said the color, the make, or the model. But I don't know that that really means that he's innocent. Anne says by the time he was scared by the van, likely he knew that the situation was going to have to end in a fatality of Abby and Libby. So going across the creek was panic madness move. I mean, it's interesting. As somebody said before, why would you cross this freezing cold creek in mid-February in Indiana? It was definitely cold because, I mean, even though it was like in the 40s that day, snow had melted a few days earlier. So I don't know that a lot of people think about this, but I'm sure Richard Allen, Abby, and Libby were shivering by the time they got off or to the north side of the creek. How that affected how anything played out, I'm not sure. Sub Rosa, Richard Allen has confessed over 60 times. I believe that he will continue to confess. I would just like his wife and mom to say, not stop talking, but to continue to talk. And instead of saying, why are you saying that? Say, why did you do this, Rick? You're saying you killed these kids. Why? How did this all play out? I would think the mom and the wife would want clarity about why he is saying he did it, not, I guess he said, why are you saying you did it? Why did he do it? Like, hear from him how this all played out so they don't have to wonder for the rest of their lives, was he falsely convicted? Whether that's going to happen or has happened already since the guilty verdict, if he's still, I assume he's still talking on the phone to his wife and mom. Blinker fluid. Do you have notes about that kind of fluid on a victim? There was nothing like that. They did swabs of the bodies. There was nothing like that. And as the defense pointed out, was a good point. They asked people just to show the jury, like, was any DNA pointing towards Richard Allen found at the crime scene? And the answer was no. I would like to know from the jurors, what made you decide guilty? In the deliberation room, was there anything that certain people were concerned about and would maybe vote not guilty that they discussed and changed their mind? They did end up deliberating, I think, for 19 total hours. Big fish, small pond. So this is another weird thing. I'm not sure if I have to interpret your comment. You wrote, he put it in his gun 3 times, right? So there's a rumor that the unspent round was cycled. It had marks like it was cycled 3 times. I'm not sure if that's true or how that even happens. So I'm not sure that I can really talk about that. Sorry, big fish, small pond. I said 10 minutes. We're down to like 1 more minute. I'll do 5 more comments, then we're all dismissed for good. Yeah, I do. My screen is never frozen. I just act like I'm not alive. Yeah, maybe he didn't subscribe. I don't blame him. All right, final 5 comments. Gadget Ball. Confessions happened both before and after Haldol. My concern about the confessions is there were 10 months. Like I said, I heard 7 phone calls to his wife and mom. He sounded totally sane. 4 more comments. Since this is not one of the 4. Since I have nothing else to investigate, I will investigate whether or not Greg Hughes was in fact blocked or not. To waste a little bit more time. Oh, wait, ready? Why am I even wearing it? I'm the only person who's ever bought. Why am I stripping? So this is my available in my online store, Sluther Vandross Detective Agency. So I got my first case. I'm gonna have to. I can't be. I'm so OCD. I can't have this messed up. Anyway, so I used to work at let's just say a large financial institution. Picking up crumbs off the floor. And so I met with this COO, which is a chief operating officer, like a month ago, and he said, actually it was like 2 months ago, he said he's a board member and they're trying to find out if a company is stealing ingredients of this company in Europe and just reselling it in America. So I told him about all my true crime nonsense, and he said he contacted Kim Kardashian's private investigator who wanted like $30,000 to $40,000 to research these 2 companies. And he said, I'll give you a month's worth of your rent if you look into it. And so I sent emails to the company that was apparently stealing this product. And I said, I'm an investor. I'd like to find out this information. So they wanted like 5 different pieces of information to see if they were stealing. So I did not hear back. So I figured out, like I did with the satellite company for the Delphi, my first Delphi video. I was trying to figure out the email of this CEO. So I watched their YouTube channel and I went back to the first YouTube channel or video they did 15 years ago. And I went all the way to the end to see if he included his email there. And he did. And it was something at usa.net, which if you're old like me, you remember that was like a email domain. So I used that first part of his username and I did it at his current domain. And I'd done some other guesses. They bounced back. This one did not. Like 2 days later, he said, let's set up a Zoom. I was like, uh-oh. So I spent like 14 hours investigating and asking ChatGPT because I had to pretend like I was a venture capitalist investor, which I'm not, and I know nothing about. Long story short, I had this Zoom where I had to pretend to be like really knowledgeable about investing in companies. So I crafted these questions. It was the CEO and his COO, not this guy I was mentioning before. So I asked these questions of like, blah, 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 blah. He said, yes, we buy the raw materials from this company who wants me to find out if they were stealing. So he kind of admitted, yes, we were doing that. Right after that question, the COO says, I'd like to ask a question like, what's your end goal here? That was the end of my questions. Like they cut me off. So that was my little rambling about my first little investigation as a private investigator. Miss Laura Lai, thank you so much for your generosity. I appreciate it. What's this all about? Red, gray, blue. This is me, Gray Hughes, from my political channel. Thanks for having me on. Yes, I would watch again if you covered something else in the future. Sorry if you got blocked. First of all, thank you for your generosity. I gave you $20 when Rick was arrested. Maybe you only give me 10 more. I'm kidding. Yeah, I called into Greg Hughes the day Rick was arrested, and I gave $20. I'm not saying in any way that you're cheap. I appreciate you. I will look into see if I'm an idiot. Anyway, we'll move on. But thank you so much. I'll look to see if you were blocked or not. We're back down to 4 more comments after that 5 minutes of me rambling. Purdue, help me. Okay, 4 more comments. Hi, Miranda. People need to quit making logical sense about the decisions Richard Allen made the day of the murders. So you think he was drunk or having a mental breakdown? This is not the final 3. Lisa says, if a perp wears Ralph Lauren, everyone's going to call into the tip line and say it's probably Tom Webster. I've never been arrested. Hopefully I won't get arrested for that phone call I did, the Zoom. I used a fake name, and I was not on camera. But unfortunately, I used my iconic vocal cords. Okay, 3 more comments. Sub Rosa, Rick was not in solitary confinement. He was in protective custody. It's just more shady defense lawyer rhetoric. I don't think Rick could have been in a cell, sharing a cell with anybody, or being able to go out into like the general population and interact with other prisoners, either in a county jail or a prison. So to me, either he's going to be alone in a cell all day long, essentially, other than rec time, either in a jail or a prison. So like, what's the difference between just the name jail and the name prison? I'm sure people have a lot of theories on that and opinions. Oh my God, that was funny, actually. Thank you. Now I owe him $5. That was funny. Thank you for doing that. And I wasn't complaining about giving you more, although it sounded like it. Thank you for that, though. Teresa, super sticker. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it. We're still down to 3 more comments. Hi, Gambies. I'm not sure what this means. It will give you help resources. Oh, when you search that, yes. Oh, I'm like 12 minutes behind. All right, let me scroll down. Final 3 comments. Just looking for something we did not talk about. Red Plant Diaries, the defense had nothing burgers. Well, I mean, I think they did a fairly decent job to have like Polly Westcott. Was she even on the stand? Did I miss that? Maybe I missed that. Did Polly Westcott testify? Maybe it was after I left. Dairy Queen ran out of ice cream, so I left Delphi. No, yeah, but the defense never presented any kind of alibi for Rick. And people say the defense does not have to prove he's innocent in the court of law. Well, see where that got Rick. Rick is going to be in prison the rest of his life because of that. Thank you, Jennifer, for smiling when I say stupid things. We're still at the final 3 comments. Brian, I need Brian to be able to go to bed in Europe. Geofencing is not reliable for location. However, why are police using it so often if it's not reliable? Also, I said, if there was some kind of geofencing data that proved Richard Allen was at the crime scene at 2:32 p.m., I'm sure Nick McClellan would be saying geofencing is reliable instead of saying it's not. That's my statement at this point. Final 2 comments. Real Plant Diaries. I've said this before, like, and people say, well, how does an innocent person act? Although I did say in the October 13th and 26 videos, interrogations, he did seem to act innocent. Real Plant Diaries. What the hell is that all about? Sorry. An innocent person, I'll have to check out your diary channel. An innocent person would be more concerned with trying to prove his innocence. I would find my 2017 phone, get my alibi figured out. I totally agree. I think I said this like 3 hours ago. I just totally agree. If I'm innocent, I'm saying to my spouse, like, find that phone. It's going to show that I was home at 1:45. Like, what did Rick do to find that phone? What did his wife do? What did the defense do? It seems like nothing. To me, that points to a guilty person, not an innocent person. I think we have 2 more comments, then we're done. Hi, Maya. Thank you. I appreciate your nice comment. Feel free to unsubscribe as soon as possible. Brian, you'll have nightmares about my laugh for the rest of your life. All right, 2 more comments. Hi, McT. Has there ever been any interviews with Rick's CVS pharmacy coworkers? I'm curious if after his arrest, there were any aha moments. I thought only Oprah is allowed to have aha moments. I went to the Delphi CVS in May of this year. I needed to get eye drops. Anyway, I was not trying to be investigating. I did not ask anybody there any questions about Rick or the case. I'd like to know when you saw the bridge guy screenshot and the video later on and heard the audio, did you recognize Rick's whatever, his body type, that blue jacket, or his voice? I did say I heard somebody went into the CVS and was suspicious about Rick, but then they like looked at his body. I mean, they weren't like checking him out, but they're like, he's too short to be this man who did this horrible thing. Thank you, Jamie. I don't know if you're the wife of Dan and you guys are on different devices, but I appreciate both of you. Maybe you can marry Dan and say you met in my live chat. Are we still at 2 more comments or 1? Thank you, Stefa. Yeah, some people say I was biased, but it seems to be people who thought Rick was innocent. And the people could not like answer my questions, like how does Rick's noon to 1:30 timeline not cause you questions? Kim, yes, I agree. Why was Abby so clean? I have no idea how it happened. However, I don't think it is impossible for one person to do this with a gun. Will we ever know? I'm not sure. That's why I'm smiling. I'll move on. All right, 2 more and then we're absolutely done. I know a lot of you want to go to bed. Sorry, I'm not frozen. Should we just end it? No, I'll do 2 more. Hi, JW. I agree. Be honest. So his family should say they love him, but they want to know the truth. If he truly knows God, he will tell the truth and apologize. Well, as I said, he was carrying a big Bible at, I think, his the last day of the trial. How do you carry a big Bible and are you lying saying I'm innocent when you're guilty? All right, 1 final comment and then we're done. Thank you for all the nice comments, not just today, but over the past 4 years or so. I always try to like say something nice about Abby and Libby. So I'm looking to see. I'm seeing a lot of comments, but nothing is good enough to make it on screen. All right. Hi, Oscar. We'll end with that. So as I said before, thank you so much to all of you for sharing your thoughts over the years on this case, not just on my videos, but in these live chats. Like I said, I think this is my 98th live chat. At the beginning of my first video, my cringeworthy intro, I was like, this is my last true crime video, my one and only on the case. I thought after 4 years, there was no way this case is going to be solved. I was like, what could police do that they haven't done in the past 4 years, which who knew at that point? So just thank you to all my moderators, everybody who's a member, everybody who's a subscriber. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. This is my last Delphi live chat for quite a while. Maybe sometime in 2025, I will do an update live chat. We are dismissed after 3 hours and 20 minutes. Good night to everybody in Europe and everybody in the US. Have a good rest of your, what's today? Saturday? All right. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Again, for members, I am doing a live chat on Thanksgiving. Maybe at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. I'll be whipping up some recipes. If you're lonely, join me. Do not put me on your TV screen when your family is over. That's it. Thank you to everybody who donated. Gray Hughes, I owe you $5. I think justice was finally served in this case, and that's a good thing. All right. Bye, everybody.